Go. Fruit Pub pretzels with beer cheese dip. Beer? Beer? Beer?
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We got some Chiefs on the docket. We got some Royals on the docket. Some college football mixed in as well with the coaches poll released a couple of days ago. We have yet to get around to that. We may get that today. Could end up on the cutting room floor. We'll find out. I mean, we only have 4 hours to talk. How are we supposed to fit in all of the things that we want to talk about, while also the randomness and rabbit holes that we go down from time to time on different nonsensical topics? So that's what's coming your way over the next 4 hours. Other than that, we'll find out together. We're all taking this ride together, all flying blind together for the next 4 hours. We know this. Coming up an hour from now, we will talk with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports TV, Royals Hall of Famer, Royals Insider, for 810, presented by SandlotGoods.com. We will hang out with Monty, get his thoughts on the young Royals, the boys, the kids, the youth, the Utes that are out there for the Royals, and also Brady Singer on the mound as well. We'll see what Monty has taken away and gleaned and seen from this young group of guys. The feeling of like you can see the glimpses of the next run, what could be the next run, next era of Royals baseball. So we'll talk with Monty about that and what has gotten into Brady Singer since he was called back up in 15 starts. We look at what Brady Singer has done, and since July, looking at what he has done compared to the rest of baseball and all starters. I want to get into that as well, because the question now starts to become, as he goes out and is more and more consistent each outing, and even when he has a rough outing, like you could say his previous one against the White Sox, back-to-back starts against the White Sox, not this one, but a week ago today, so that would have been August 3rd, that he gave up the 4 runs in the 6 innings. Even that one, with only 3 strikeouts and 1 walk, when he didn't have his best stuff, and he labored through a year ago, certainly a couple of years ago, but he was a guy that it was he's such a bulldog and he's so intense.
He'll fight the rain.
But he's also really immature. And he also melts down. And I think that start against the White Sox a week ago today would have been a meltdown game for him. It would not have been, how did he get through 6 innings, only giving up 4 earned runs? It would have been, he gave up 6 runs in 3 innings. And if you could just take away that third. He gave up 5 runs in the third, but, so good other than that, man. Just the stuff, the movement, you can see it, but he just can't get out of those 1 innings. Like we saw it often. It was like, he 4 innings and 5 earned runs, but he gave up 4 of those in the second. If he just finds a way to get out of it. And he did that against the White Sox. He labored, he battled, and he didn't have his best stuff like he did against the Yankees when everything was, moving all over the place and dancing. That wasn't the case, but he found a way to go 6 innings, 4 earned runs. I thought that was real growth. And you throw in the 2 starts before that when he had the 22 strikeouts and 3 walks. Now you throw in a 6 strikeout game, no walks, and 7 1/3. And you've got Brady Singer, who is, to me, putting himself in the conversation, at least the discussion of where can he fit. If this is a team and a group of players or a core, the Yankees, the core 4, the core group of players that we're seeing, the young guys and maybe even Brady Singer, where does he fit in that? Is he a true number 3? Is he like a legit number 2? Or does he actually have the stuff and the makeup and that bulldog mentality to go out and be maybe not Max Scherzer or, Jacob deGrom, a high-end ace, but a second-tier ace in Major League Baseball? Could he be that? Some of the things I want to talk to Monty about coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, because it's been a lot of fun. I know we're having some fun watching the young players, watching the young hitters, but I look forward to the Brady Singer starts. It has evolved from the beginning of the season, looking forward to the Zach Greinke starts, to now it's Singer's on the mound, I'm watching the game.
He became appointment viewing,
Yes.
but not in a horror movie type of way, which is what it sort of felt like for a little bit, right? Like, I remember talking to Lesky a bunch last season, even the year before.
You're so close to him, you're just on a last name basis with him?
Lesky's basically like, he's like Preki, you know? He's Pele. I don't know. He gets one name. He's Ichiro.
He's Brittany.
I could have come up with a pop culture or a baseball one.
Serena. He's Tiger.
Yeah, exactly.
It's LeBron.
He's David. His first name is David. I don't call him David. But
David.
I remember talking to him last season in particular, and whatever our schedule ended up being was just that he would come on the day after a Singer start. It just worked out that way by accident 4 or 5 times in a row, it felt like. And every time it was like, so Lesky, do you want to say it, or should I say it, or how do we want to do this? Or the point where at the end of the season, we're like, hey, I don't mean to constantly bleep on Brady Singer. It's just gone that way. Well, now, again, he becomes appointment viewing, where you're talking about him as a bottom half ace, or if the guy we've seen over the last month and change is your number 2 in a rotation, you have a legitimate pitching rotation of guys who other teams have to plan around and be afraid of. And even to the point, going back to the last White Sox start, he was affected by the rain there. At one point, it was like, so what are we going to see from Singer? Like, he got hit plenty. It was a messy start, but he kept them in it. Like you said, there was never that, oh man, just that one inning. If he could have just pulled it all together, then ultimately, even giving up all those hits, giving up 3 of those runs on 1 3-run homer, I think, in that start, he still stayed composed.
Yeah.
And yesterday, he was making some of those White Sox look lost, look foolish. He was in control of those battles, and that is growth, real growth from Brady Singer.
The movement was so good that every once in a while it got the ump.
Yeah, that's a very kind way of saying
that was a strike, right? Well, it moved so fast. I mean, and then you had some White Sox players that were like getting out of the way, and then it was an obvious strike, and then they're complaining to the umpire like, whoa, that was right over the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it moved about 7 inches, but, it was right over the heart is what happened there. And even, like, if we go back to the Giants start, that was July 13th, when he went 5 innings against the Giants, and he gave up 2 earned runs.
Yep.
But he had 5 strikeouts and 5 walks. And that was when he walked to like 4 guys in a row and just completely lost it. Couldn't get the strike zone, couldn't figure anything out. And he gave up 2 runs in that inning. And he still went to another 4, so 4 other innings without giving up a run in that game. That's a game where he just doesn't make it out of that. I mean, he's toast. He doesn't get it together. He just never finds it, and then he's done. And instead, in that game, he walks 5, he finds it, and then he's able to go 5 innings because of an elevated pitch count in that 1 inning. He's able to go 5 innings and give up only 2 earned runs, keep his team in the game. We've seen those, and we've seen the 7th pitcher in the history of baseball to go into Yankee Stadium and throw at least 7 innings, giving up no earned runs with at least 10 strikeouts. The 7th pitcher ever. Now, he's only one of the other 6 that did not get a win in those games, but that is not his fault. That's part of it. So we've seen him fight through. We've seen him battle. We've seen him go out there and be untouchable. And that, to me, is where you start to get excited. You start to see what people were talking about in his last year with Florida of, is this the number 1 pick in the draft, Brady Singer? And then, well, why did he slip all the way to the Royals? And then what the Royals saw in him and why the Royals kept throwing him out there every 5 days that, he's going to figure it out. He needs time, going to figure it out. And, there was a lot of frustration. We talked about it. And it was, people felt like I was shaning on, Brady Singer all of last year because it was the change-up watch. Yeah. We had every single start.
Hey, and you know what? That did matter.
It turns out.
That did matter. I can't remember where this honestly might have been something that Monty mentioned last week or a couple weeks ago. But like even, and this actually could have been a broadcast, I don't know. I'm stealing it from somebody. But just the thought of maybe there could be a changeup out of his hand multiplies your possible outcomes as a hitter exponentially. Like that is, and look, I don't want to be super prisoner of the moment and say, okay, well, he had 3 incredible starts and 1 that he battled through in these last 4, right? I don't want to just cut it off there, just arbitrarily cut it off at July. Well, then you go back and then you get that start where he, even in a loss where he gave up 4 earned at the end of June, against the A's. Well, he got into the ninth inning there.
Yeah.
You go all the way back to when he came back from Omaha, and you've really got one turd of a start. It was the game against the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
He got through 5 innings, 3 home runs, 7 earned. You have one disaster. That was his 4th start back after 3 really solid ones, and every moment since then, there's either been sparks of dominance or persistent dominance, or at least something you can hang your hat on. And that is just such a world away from where he's been at this point the last couple of years.
And the game against the A's where he pitched into the 9th inning and gave up 5 runs, I remember talking about that the day after that, that should have been 2 earned runs. And I don't remember the details of it, but we discussed it and we're like, well, this happened and that happened. I mean, you're talking about 2 earned runs in the game is what he actually gave up, and he might have had a complete game if it would have been just the 2 earned runs. Instead, because I think he left a guy on, right? When he was pulled, there were a couple of guys on that ended up coming around and scoring, so it was an inherited runner or 2 that ended up scoring. But regardless, the details escape me, but I wrote it down here in my notes of each Brady Singer start.
I trust you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking at the pitch log. I'm not even going to try to explain.
Thank you. But I noted it should have been 2 earned runs. I can go back to that format and see of the show and see exactly what it was, but I don't have time.
We're doing a show here.
That's right. Take my word for it. Just trust me, okay? I'm a trustworthy person.
I trust you, Jason.
Thank you very much. But you talk about the changeup, and the thought of it, I think, is a really interesting one. Now, the White Sox are a right-handed heavy lineup, so how often is he going to throw a changeup against right-handers as opposed to he used that a lot against lefties? So maybe just the thought of that being there or how good his stuff is right now. Because against the Rays, he threw 11 changeups, and he had 12 strikeouts and 2 walks against the Rays. That was 4 starts ago. In the last 3 starts, he has thrown a total of 11 changeups. He threw 11 that game. He's thrown 11 since then, and he's got 19 strikeouts and 2 walks. So while, yes, the changeup has helped, it clearly isn't just that he's throwing a changeup. I think it's probably a combination of confidence, combination of trust in the changeup, combination of he's willing to throw it and now he knows he has 3 pitches, and throw in the fact that the hitters know that he can throw a changeup from time to time, that it's not just going to be sinker slider, even though that's predominantly what you're going to see, but you do have to be aware of it. But I think the confidence and the stuff is the most important part.
Yes.
We had some fun with Brady Singer last year when he was asked about the changeup, and he was like, yeah, if my first 2 pitches aren't working, what's the point? And then we compared that to Daniel Lynch, who was talking about the different pitches he has, and he was saying, well, yeah, if I got 2 pitches that aren't working, I can go to my 3rd pitch or my 4th pitch. And it was like, hey, Brady, are you listening? Mm-hmm. Brady, he's talking to you. But I do believe this is what Brady Singer is talking about, that when his sinker slider is working like it is right now, when he's got the confidence and the touch and the feel and the movement, then yeah, the thought of having a changeup certainly helps, but he's not actually having to throw it to make the sinker slider more effective because they seem to be effective on their own in what he's doing out there on the mound. And I think pace of play for Singer, too. He gets the ball. He gets right back up there. Like yesterday, Eloy Jimenez, the pitch clock's going to be bad for him. Mm-hmm. With Singer, I don't know what he does every single at-bat, but I know against Singer, in between pitches, he would step out and just pause. Because Singer's on the mound just waiting, right? He wants to get... We talked about the 3 pitches to Benintendi. 33 seconds to strike out Benintendi to start that Yankees game off. First pitch to the 3rd pitch with a foul ball in between, it was 33 seconds. That's how Singer wants to throw. The pitch clock next year will not affect Brady Singer. In fact, I believe it'll help Brady Singer because Jimenez cannot do that. He can't step out and throw Brady Singer off his tempo. You got to get back in the box and get ready to go, and a guy like Brady Singer is going to get it back there on the mound and want to throw the pitch. A guy like Chris Archer, who wants to just take his time, walk around the mound in between pitches. He's a human rain delay. And Doug Davis was the worst back in the day. Like Doug Davis versus Mark Burley was the just the exact opposite of each other back in the day. Pitchers will have to adjust. I think it benefits Brady Singer because that's how he pitches anyway, and it eliminates a hitter going, I'm going to play some mind games, and I'm going to step out, and I'm going to slow you down and take you out of your rhythm.
One other thing here on the changeup that I just pulled up on Baseball Savant. I don't know what I don't want to make you play the guessing game, Beards. If you want to throw in
I
a
like
number,
playing
you
the
can.
guessing
You want to
game.
play the guessing
yes,
game?
I make you guys play the guessing game all the time.
This one, I just feel like this one is the margins here are minor. I'm going to tell you that last year Brady Singer threw the changeup 3.8% of the
Okay.
time per Baseball Savant. What do you think he has thrown this year? Again, in percentage of the time that it's been a changeup, it's all sinker, slider, and then a couple four-seam fastballs that are probably just maybe a little mischart because he's just working with the sinker, slider. But what percentage of the time is Brady Singer throwing a changeup this year?
Is Beards going to go first?
Beards,
or
I
me?
feel like you should go first here.
So it was 3.8 last year.
Yeah.
So
He's
excited.
improved this year.
So excited for this
Sure.
number.
Will it have been because of the changeup? Maybe he stopped throwing the changeup completely. Who's to say?
4.20.
I'm going to say 9.7.
It is 8.2.
Damn it, I'm
So
so
you are right there around Beards. You're so dumb, man. You got to learn how to count. It's really embarrassing. I can't believe you haven't gotten better at this.
The worst.
But he has thrown it twice as frequently, a little more than twice as much. Now, to
Yeah.
your point here, they've got him with 9 total changeups to righties and 115
Yeah, right.
to the lefties, which does you can't give him credit against right-handed batters on the back of the changeup. To be fair, that is his first 2 pitches working, him having that command and it looking nasty.
Yeah.
But having that in the arsenal, particularly against lefties, and he can throw it against a righty every once in a while if he has a reason to go to it. Not only is that good now, I expect that to keep getting better. If next year Brady Singer goes back to throwing the changeup 4% of the time and he still is good at baseball, I would be shocked because I think that's something that you want to see grow.
Yeah. But you're
Eventually, pitchers add pitches later in their careers. Like, is that something on the table for Singer after he is fully confident in the 1, 2, and then now 3?
I'm glad you brought that up in the difference between the righties and the lefties. 'Cause I hadn't looked up the splits in the changeups there, but it makes sense when you've got the White Sox, who are a right-handed heavy lineup. And in the last 2 starts have been against the White Sox, he's thrown almost 200 pitches, and he's got 5 total changeups that he's thrown. So, I mean, and he threw 17 against the Twins. He threw 11 against the Rays that have, lefties. And he's thrown 5 total in almost 200 pitches the last 2 starts against the White Sox. He's also had 9 strikeouts and 1 walk in those 13 innings. So while not throwing because the stuff works against righties, you need that third pitch to get lefties out, or at least have the thought of getting the lefties out. Does it say how many changeups he threw total last year? So in 2021?
I'll come back to that in just a second, but real quick, 15%, 14.9 changeups to lefties this year, by the way. That is up from 6.5 last year and 7.7 the year before. So not only is he throwing it twice as much in general, he's throwing it more than twice as much to lefties. What was the specific? What did you want me to
What
also
was
add in?
what was the changeup last year?
Total last year?
2021 against lefties and righties.
88 total changeups last year. He's already at 124 this year. 84 to lefties, 4 to righties. So a pretty similar ratio, but keeping consistent in the jumps there on the left-handed side as well.
So looking up real quick, and then we'll take a break and some other things to get into. The Chiefs have signed another defensive lineman, difference maker. Another defensive lineman.
Well, Jason, you're selling this all wrong.
Sorry.
The Chiefs just signed a former first-round pick.
Good point.
Defensive lineman.
Right.
I'm not even going to say his name till after the break, because who could it? Is it Ndamukong Suh?
Could be.
It could be Ndamukong Suh.
Right. It could be. Is it Aaron Donald?
I'm not going to say that it's not. So far, I have not ruled him out.
You can't, because we haven't said who it is yet. So Brady Singer since July 1st. So it's 7 starts. Get ready to take a shot, everybody. Small sample size.
Have a coffee sip.
He ranks 9th in strikeouts in Major League Baseball since July in the last 7 starts. And by the way, the leader in strikeouts has 8 starts in Garrett Cole. Here are the 8 names in front of Brady Singer.
For strikeouts this year.
Since
July.
Since July. See if there's a number of guys that sound familiar when you say Brady Singer, how good can he be? Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Spencer Strider, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Corbin Burns, Shohei Ohtani, Carlos Rodon, Brady Singer.
I've heard of a significant percentage of those guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of them there, it seems.
I wish I was on the same list as Shohei Ohtani in anything. Literally anything. One more time on that list?
That is Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Spencer Strider, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Corbin Burns, Shohei Ohtani, Carlos Rodon, Brady Singer.
Good company.
Not bad to be in. Now, that is since July. That is 7 starts, small sample size, yada, yada, yada. He's also 20th in baseball in ERA over that time with a 2.45 ERA in 7 starts. 2.45 ERA. By the way, the man going today in Kris Bubic. I mentioned Brady Singer, 2.45. He's 20th. Since July, Kris Bubic is 31st in all of baseball with ERA. Starters. Starters in baseball with a 3.24 in his last 7 starts. I mean, I hope, and this is where the optimism and the excitement comes in, I hope the worm is turning for these guys, that it is about experience. You can't speed up the maturation process for guys at the big league level, no matter what their age, even if they went to college or not, that it does take some time. It takes innings in the big leagues, and maybe that's what's going on with Kris Bubic, what's going on with Brady Singer. Last 2 starts for Daniel Lynch. What's he got? 11 strikeouts, no walks for Daniel Lynch since coming back. Those are certainly good. But you got a couple of guys over 7, 8 starts in baseball of every other starter in baseball that are ranked in the top 30, essentially, top 31 of ERA of every starter out there. Not too bad. Now, Bubic isn't going to register there with the strikeouts because that's not what he does. But Brady Singer is that guy. And that's where, talking to Monty at 11 o'clock, looking forward to hearing what he has to say, because what can Brady Singer, can he be in the mix with those names we just said? Like, is that where he could be in a year or two? In 2024, are we talking about Brady Singer, not just a 7-game start, but over the course of, April through August, and we're sitting here discussing the Royals, a game up or a game out of the division. And thank God Brady Singer's on the mound tonight, because, he's taken his 2.1 ERA and 4th in Major League Baseball in strikeouts. And, you feel pretty good about him. And, Prado's on this stretch where he's OPSing at 1.2 over the last month or so.
I like this fan fiction you're writing. This is better than the actual baseball so far.
It is. Let's write some fan fiction next. But yes, so Brady Singer, Kris Bubic, certainly some optimism and some excitement about moving forward. Both those guys since being called back up. Is that something they have in common? Since being called back up? I don't know. Something I'll also talk to Monty about coming up at 11 o'clock. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. More zone rolling along. Let's get into some Chiefs as well. Roger Goodell goes on record for the first time, weighing in on why the NFL appealed the decision and what he thinks they have going in their favor. Pro Football Network has a report out there of what they expect the punishment to be raised to, what they expect that to happen. We'll get into that as well. More zone right after this. It's a Wednesday edition at Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
913-912-4810. Not going to read that text because you're a jerk.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I know I did since July with Brady Singer, but then I went back and looked since he was called back up. So that's 15 starts for him since he was called back up. So then I went back and looked at that date for Brady Singer over that time. He's 16th in strikeouts since being called back up. He's 15th in strikeout to walk ratio. 26th in ERA with a 3.31, but he continues to improve. Obviously, he's progressing in the right direction. And the 15 names in front of him in total strikeouts going back to May 17th when he came up and pitched that doubleheader. Then sent back down, then called up for good. Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Shohei Ohtani, Charlie Morton, Dylan Cease, Zach Wheeler, Carlos Rodon, Shea McClanahan, Aaron Nola, Christian Javier, Yu Darvish, Sandy Alcantara, Robbie Ray, Luis Castillo, Shane Bieber, Brady Singer. So there you go. That's the
Still
group.
pretty good company.
That's the company he's in since he was called back up for good. Well, called back up to pitch the doubleheader on May 17th, and then the next time in the rotation called back up and good to go. But he was sent back down in between those things. So 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. Something else to get excited about, and we like small sample sizes, or at least we like saying small sample sizes around here. And that is the small sample size of the Royals' main sort of bigger rookie names since the trade deadline. Bobby Witt all season, MJ Melendez most of the year, Vinny Pasquantino called up before, and then Prado called up before the trade deadline, but ultimately when it became sort of the youth, the young Royals since the trade deadline, it's been 7 games that they have played since then. They're 4-3 since August 2nd in the trade deadline. If you want to throw in that night, you can, of it being 4-4 because they ended up losing that game. But since trade deadline passed and it was, okay, here's the team moving forward. This is now going to be this Royals club. We know Whit Merrifield, Andrew Benintendi, Carlos Santana, things like that. Other guys being called up. So Witt, MJ, Pasquantino, and Prado in those games. Small sample size, mind you. 6 or 7 games.
Such a small sample size.
Right.
Just an hors d'oeuvre.
103 plate appearances combined. 91 at-bats combined. But they are OPSing at 871. They've got 8 home runs in the 7 games. 23 RBIs in the 7 games. 3 doubles. 14 runs scored. 8 walks. 21 strikeouts in the 7 games. Those 4 guys are averaging 1 walk and 3 Ks per game of the 4. It's kind of really Vinny Pasquantino in the walk and kind of Bobby Witt in the strikeouts. Witt's had his struggles. Bobby Witt has. He's gone hot and cold and things like that. He's been the one that has struggled the most of the 4 guys, since the trade deadline. He's OPSing at 655. Prado's OPSing at 904. Melendez at 940. And Pasquantino 996 OPSing. So Witt is bringing that number down to 871. And that's the guy you're really not worried about. But we're also talking about 6/7 games that they have played since then. But that youth movement, a couple of Brady Singer starts, Chris Bubich with what would be his second start in that time, a 4-3 run. Massey is OPSing at 728, getting on base at 357. Certainly you'll take that, getting hits, multiple games, getting on base multiple times, playing good defense. That's the excitement around that. Not even counting in Michael Massey. He could be good, right? He could be an everyday, really good player. But if we're talking about the 4 guys people were discussing coming into this year before spring training, Bobby Witt, MJ Melendez, Nick Prado, Vinny Pasquantino, those 4 guys. They're up, they're playing every day, and that's what they've been doing since we've turned the page. It's now not necessarily your team, but it's kind of your team.
It's also, I just think, such an interesting and this is a little bit egotistical, but maybe an important time for good analysis around this version of the team. And I'm saying important on a sliding scale, right? Like, we still know where we're at in the sports side of the world. But like in sports terms, it is important to figure out what what success is ahead of time here, because we all do not mishear me. We rightfully were all banging on the door of, give us the young guys. What are we waiting for? I don't need to watch all these guys over and over again that we've seen in years past. Carlos Santana does not do any good on this team right now. He could do more good for some other team, and this team would do better with the roster spot.
That's right.
We were banging on the door on that, and we were all right to be doing it. The Royals probably should have been on a more expeditious path, a little quicker on the entire youth movement. But now that we are here, I think it is very important to say, hey, Bobby Witt is actually the one bringing the numbers down here, and that's okay for this time being. I think it's important to say, hey, we're talking about a small sample size, but that can still be informative, because what we're looking for more than anything else the rest of this season, and largely, I'm willing to write this up for next season as well. We don't even know exactly who the manager and the president of baseball ops and everything will be. There could be changes there. Even next year, if it's the same group, a different group, whatever, it is going to be about growth and progress, and that continuing to move forward. Now, that can't be every single day. Not every single day is going to be a win by one more run than the day before, although it would be pretty cool if it was. But what's ultimately going to be at stake is, do you see, on the whole of the season, is there progress from the guys who really matter? And that can be ebbs and flows for Bobby Witt. It can be Brady Singer showing absolute gas for the last month. We got to find the right things to focus on, though, and I hope that never ends with people overreacting to a week of Bobby Witt or a bad day at the plate from Vinny Pasquantino.
Well, and also, it's the same view around this team and what the future is going to be. Like, Bobby Witt is supposed to be, and hopefully is going to be, a cornerstone of this franchise. And talked about it for a while, that tired of Mondesi playing short. I wanted them to move him to center field. And I know people, immediately took that as, well, if he's going to get hurt at shortstop, why wouldn't he get hurt at center field? No. He's going to get hurt wherever he plays. I'd rather have to replace a center fielder than have to worry about my shortstop and Witt playing third and then short and Nicky Lopez moving over there. Put Bobby at short, call it a day. And they've done that since Mondesi went down. But lately, Matheny has been switching him from short to third since they traded Rivera. And in the last 6 games, he's played 3 at shortstop and 3 at third base. Bobby Witt, your shortstop moving forward. So put him there, call it a day, and our same guy that has, been defending Brittany for so long that we heard, earlier this year during, a little after spring training when the season started, when Witt was over at third base and Mondesi was at short, and it was like, man, you drafted him as a shortstop. He's going to be a guy. Quit relying and thinking you're going to rely on Adalberto Mondesi. Put Bobby Witt there at shortstop. Call it a day. Leave him alone.
You're lucky he even performed for you. Leave Bobby alone! Please.
Dramatic.
You sound different here, Jason.
Leave
me.
Bobby alone!
It's not me, it's him.
Please.
Sounds very similar.
Leave Bobby Witt alone right now!
I just know how you get,
I
when you
mean
get
it.
emotional.
Anyone who has a problem with him, you deal with me.
See? Just leave it. He is a huge Bobby Witt fan and wants him just to play short and call it a day. Leave him alone.
I admire the passion is so. I mean, look,
Yeah.
to care that deeply about
not
the
me.
position that Bobby Witt Jr. plays is.
I don't know the guy's name that loved up Brittany, but he's now a big Bobby Witt fan as well. So
I honestly,
Same
I'm happy
passion.
to have him. Happy to have him on the
same
show.
passion for. That was to you, Mike Matheny. That was to you. Leave him alone. Put him at short. Call it a day.
I think moving him back and forth like one day or the other is a little bit odd. Whenever I saw him starting at shortstop in Game 2 yesterday, I really had to pause for a second and make sure I hadn't misread something, because that feels mean. That feels like you're trying to bait him into an error. And then he had a nice defensive play at short.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he can also do this. I don't even know if I have a strong opinion about where he should be, but I don't think the answer should be doubleheader, game 1, third base, second game, shortstop. Good luck. Hey, you know what? Tomorrow, you're playing second. What? Why? Are you sure?
Because here's the question I would have. Who's the shortstop of the future? Because it's not Mondesi, and I will throw up in my mouth if Mondesi's the answer. But here's the thing. In the offseason going into spring training next year, that's what they're going to say. Mondesi's going to be a part of this group. Well, you got Mondesi, one of the most talented, just unlucky when it comes to injuries, but just talent on talent. You can't teach that. He's got every tool in the toolbox, man. He's got a tool belt. He's toolish.
I'm going to say something that might fracture this show irreparably.
You love Mondesi and you wish he would play every day, and you don't like Bobby Witt, nor do you like Prado or Pasquantino, and you wish the Royals would just simply play Carlos Santana and Adalberto Mondesi. Is that what you were going to say?
The first half of it was pretty close. Look, hey, you said I wish Adalberto Mondesi would play every day. I do. that I definitely do. I wish he physically could.
I'd love to see him get a chance to play every day.
Right.
I think he's talented. I just think he shows the talent when nobody's watching.
The irreparable thing is that I wouldn't even be mad if the Royals had a role for him next year in mind, but you can't rely on it. You can't. Not at short. Not as an everyday player. You can't. I feel like I was gonna be the last holdout this offseason. Say, hey, right here, you put Bobby at third, try Mondesi at short, and because if it comes together this year, oh man, the future's gonna look so bright. And then we got through like 2 weeks of baseball. I was like, okay, never mind. All right, hey. What else are they supposed to do? It only cost Bobby Witt a few games at shortstop, and apparently that wasn't a concern anyway, because now Nicky Lopez is the shortstop of the future. I don't know. It's very strange. I think that there could be. We talked about this on Monday when you were out with Craig Brown.
I was out with Craig.
You were out. You and Craig Brown were out, and we were talking about you guys. But Craig was given some oxygen to, hey, you can put him at third. His bat would still be valuable there, and he's had some issues at short, But why right now? Let him play short the rest. He could boot every ground ball for the rest of the year, and he would still be the best shortstop on the team, for total positional value. You like Nicky Lopez at second. That's a good. We've
Michael Massey at second.
Good point.
They've played Nicky Lopez at third when they had Rivera. Now they don't have Rivera, and it's like, well, Nicky Lopez can't play third now.
There are ways you could solve that I don't think the guy who I would like to have be cemented in a spot is the guy that you hope's going to play that spot for a decade. And that's Bobby Witt.
They're looking for a third baseman, and so Nicky Lopez playing third. Yeah, obviously he is not a third baseman with the bat. That much we know. I'm talking about if Massey's my second baseman moving forward, I want him at second base. If Bobby Witt's my shortstop, which he should be, I want him at short. And wherever MJ Melendez is going to end up playing, let's get him there and watch, what he can do and improve, because he clearly has a long way to go. Left field, the corner outfield is not easy. Unless you've done it a lot at the major league level, it is not Major League Baseball outfielders make it look a whole lot easier than it actually is for guys that typically play in the dirt or are wearing the tools of ignorance, and then you just move them to the outfield, and it's a completely different vantage point. So if he's going to play right field, then put him in right field. Prado at first or left field, whatever, I'd rather just leave him at first. I know the whole DH thing, when Salvi's got the second day, DH, okay, then maybe Vinny Pasquantino takes, a day off. Or that's when you have Prado in left and you've got Pasquantino at first base. Those things, get it, understandable, totally. But if you're looking for a third baseman moving forward and you trade for C.J. Alexander, you draft Caden Hayward from, Arkansas in the second round, you're trying to find these guys that are there. I don't think the answer is, Mondesi can play short and then we'd have a third baseman with Bobby Witt. Yeah, Mondesi will play short for 60 games. But then when Witt moves to shortstop, you're still looking for a third baseman. Unless you're just simply saying Nicky Lopez on the team is going to be the shortstop when Adalberto Mondesi gets injured. So Nicky Lopez will be a utility guy that can play a lot of different positions and give guys days off. And he can come in and he can handle the bat a little bit, steal a base, and defensive replacement, things like that. And when Mondesi gets hurt, he can play short, and you leave Bobby Witt alone over at third, and that's where he's at. I just think he's way too athletic and fast and rangy to then put at third.
At least right now.
Well, yeah.
Just at least right
now.
To
punt right now. If they're not willing to punt on MJ Melendez at catcher, if he's still going to be behind the... Now, they're carrying 3 catchers, so it kind of seems like that's the route they're going. So, when... Melendez is playing outfield and Salvi's not in the game, you're like, they're kind of acknowledging what the future may be. Okay, well then, see what you're going to have with him and make that decision as to what it's going to be in the future. But Prado at first, Vinny DHing, Massey at second, Witt at shortstop, and then, I don't know. I mean, I don't need to see Dozier in the lineup. Like, when I'm behind on the game and I'm fast-forwarding, I'll fast-forward right through Dozier's at-bats.
You fast-forward to the
Michael A.
Dozier
Taylor's.
at-bats, and then if he
That's
ends
it.
up on base, maybe you go back after. You're like, oh, okay, how did he get there? But you don't. Yeah, well, you wouldn't have hit rewind a lot yesterday.
No, I watched the rookies, and then it's like, oh, Dozier fast-forward, cool, play. Oh, Michael A. Taylor fast-forward. All right, play. That's how I catch up, is I can get those at-bats. Foul balls, in between innings, mound visits, pitching changes, Dozier and Taylor's at-bats. Those are the ones that I really catch up on. We'll take a timeout. We'll wrap up this hour. Jeff Montgomery coming up at 11 o'clock. A lot more Chiefs to get into today as well. We will certainly talk about that with a number of things on the docket. Juan Thornhill and his health. And then, of course, we've got a defensive lineman. We'll just say the name. It's Danny Shelton, everybody. It is not Aaron Donald. It's Danny Shelton. What everybody has been wondering, who the Chiefs are going to sign. They have done it.
Former first-round pick Danny Shelton.
They have signed Danny Shelton.
Please use his full name.
Daniel Shelton.
Former first-round pick Daniel Shelton.
Former first-round pick Danny Shelley.
It's actually not Danny. It's actually former first-round pick Danny Salopumoni Shelton.
I believe you. That you
That's from his
got that.
Wikipedia, or from his Pro Football Reference page.
There you go. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. You're in the zone.
Perfect sports radio right there. That's great. It's awesome. Worst thing ever. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
With Jason Anderson
I kind of agree with both.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up at 11 o'clock. The Little League World Series going on with the Midwest region. Missouri is up 3-1 over Iowa. Take that, Iowa.
Eat it, Iowa.
Take it, Iowa.
Beards, what did you find about one of our friends from the Missouri team?
There is a little kid named Brody Jackson.
What a great
says
baseball
his-
kid named
it
Brody
says his
Jackson.
dream job on the bottom.
Dream job for Brody Jackson.
Chicken nugget taste tester.
For a 12-year-old, that's a dream job. A lot of kids are like, baseball player or want to be, a chicken nugget taste tester.
I've heard it's a competitive market.
They also have like the kids' favorite athletes and things like that and different nicknames when they come up to the plate. One of the kids from Iowa's favorite athlete is Michael Jordan.
He's 12.
You're 12, dude. That's your dad's favorite athlete. Why don't you have your favorite athlete, guy?
Hey, Beards, what's your dream job?
This. Money.
This is Nate Bucadian.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
You know, he does it kind of like a dead fish.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We continue heading up until 2 o'clock on this Wednesday edition. We talk now some Royals baseball with Jeff Montgomery, Royals insider, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer. He is brought to you by Kansas City's own Sandlot Goods. Shop hundreds of hat styles and more at sandlotgoods.com. Over 99% of baseball hats sold in the U.S. made overseas. Support local manufacturing. Kansas City's hat manufacturer, sandlotgoods.com. Monty, what is up, man? How are you, sir?
Well, doing pretty good, Jason. Had a long day at the ballpark yesterday, but a couple of good games. So hopefully pick up where we left off and maybe get another win here later on today.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully that is the case with this last couple of games against the White Sox. But the doubleheader yesterday, they split that longer day. Did you enjoy doubleheaders as a player? Maybe as a bullpen guy, it might have been different. But did you enjoy going out there and playing a couple of games?
I never minded it. I like the traditional doubleheaders like we played yesterday much more than the split doubleheaders. The split doubleheaders, depending on how one or both the games go, can be a really, really long day. But yesterday was pretty short and sweet with regards to playing, I guess, 2 games and both crisp and clean games. So I think when you play that style of baseball, good pitching, it's always fun.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports. The youth has been a lot of talk, Monty. A lot of discussion around the young guys and what they have been doing. And since the All-Star break, but also in the, 7-8 games since the trade deadline, when it's kind of been just all of the youth up here with Prado and Vinny Pasquantino, Witt starting the season, MJ Melendez when he came up earlier, and now Michael Massey, Eaton, Isbell still qualifying as a rookie as well. So it's the young guys, the youth. What are you seeing from this team with this influx of younger players and sort of that feel of the next generation of this Royals ball club?
Well, I'm excited about it. I don't know if I've ever been as excited about a group of players this large. I mean, we've been through rebuilds, we've been through all the ups and downs of rosters and such, but this seems to be a group of players that they all kind of get it. I mean, they top to bottom, you see a lot of hope, a lot of upside from a lot of these players. I like the way they go about their business. Now they're going to have their downs just like they've had their ups, but by and large, I mean, it seems like it's a group that you can say, hey, this is a group that's going to be together for a while. They're going to take us through an extended period of Royals baseball where we're going to know who they are. We're going to see them on a consistent basis, and I think they have some abilities. And what I really like about the youth is the fact that they're really kind of coming just a year or two behind the group of young pitchers who came up now who are starting to hit stride, and we're starting to see why the Royals were so high on some of these starting pitchers. And the pitchers always seem to be more of a wild card as far as, are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? And I've had my my ups and downs with regards to these pitchers too through their early parts of their development. But now we're starting to see a lot more consistency. And so you take those pitchers, you got a group of position players that are just, like I say, a year or two behind them. You have the core and the making potentially of a pretty solid team for an extended period of time.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery and the youth, the young guys, and it does feel like there's that core that's pretty solid. We'll see how long it lasts. But yesterday in the doubleheader, all 6 RBIs yesterday driven in by rookies. 4 of the 6 runs that were scored by the rookies. Is there a different feel around the clubhouse, do you think, around this team with the younger guys? Because it certainly looks like they're having a lot of fun. It looks like there's that feel of baseball being a kid's game, which is, what it's supposed to be. Brad Keller talked about that as well. Do you get the sense that as well?
Well, I do, and I think that's something you almost would expect with a group of young players. Now, the players who they replaced, those guys were young players playing with that same style, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So, it's really difficult to expect, I guess, moving forward, how long will these young players go out and play like young players who are, looking to make their name in the big leagues? But I think just more than anything, it's the talent. It's not necessarily the energy, the style. I think it's just the talent that I'm impressed with, and their ability to do some things. And I mean, some of the tools and the foot speed, the throwing arms, the power, just kind of the package that we're seeing with these guys. To me, has been quite impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because it's not just younger guys coming up and playing, because there are some bad baseball teams that bring up younger guys just to fill out a roster that aren't really deserving of being there. This is a bunch of guys that sort of know each other, came up, played on the same teams together, and have grown and progressed into legitimate prospects. Like, maybe not all number one prospects like Bobby Witt, but legitimate prospects that people feel like could be everyday players. And they're in the big leagues, and it feels like they're building off each other, that, okay, I know this guy can play, so I'm up here too, so I can play, and this guy's hitting and taking that same approach and, working the count, working a walk from time to time, which is, a little bit different when you see Vinny Pasquantino and Nick Pratto and those guys getting on base and walking and things like that. The talent part is a really good point. It's not just how young they are. It's that, they're young, they're in the big leagues, they're fresh-faced and wide-eyed, and everything is new and cool in the third deck, and they're just loving going to the ballpark. But they're also pretty damn talented.
Yeah, and I think that's what you really have to kind of gauge things off of is, how do they project out as far as, once that energy kind of wears down a little bit and you're playing kind of what I'll call more of a normal style of the game. You're not trying to run through a brick wall every time you take the field. You're playing a little more what you would expect to see from I guess I'll say a more experienced team or a more veteran-type team. But, the tools are certainly there. And, again, they're going to have their fair share of struggles along the way. Everybody does. It doesn't matter who you are. You are not immune to having your struggles, at the plate facing, superior pitching. But no one's really, come up and really gotten knocked down. And I think a lot of it, too, has to do with somewhat of what I'll call an inner competition among the guys, because when, say, for example, a Nate Eaton sees a Michael Massey doing something special, and MJ Melendez and Vinny Pasquantino and Nick Pratto, I mean, the list goes on and on, but I think it creates almost a little bit of a competition among the guys saying, hey, this guy did his job, now I got to go out and do my job if I want to hang and be considered at that same level. So it's good, healthy competition, but I think there's still that inner competition amongst a bunch of guys who have played for a number of years together at the lower level.
Is Vinny Pasquantino starting to see the hard hits pay off, or the hard hit balls pay off in them either leaving the yard? Because it seemed like the angle, the launch angle that we talk about a lot, but the launch angle for him was like 5 feet off the ground, that he was hitting rockets and off the fence in right field. And, yesterday he hits a couple of light tower home runs. Once he gets that thing in the air, it's going to be gone. And he's had so many hard hit balls that have been right at guys or really good defensive plays. And is the worm starting to turn a little bit for him, that he's seeing some softer hit balls fall in place and get some hits from those going the other way, which was good. I mean, the last 5 games, he's got 2 home runs, a double. He's got 4 RBIs in the 5 games, 3 runs scored, only 1 strikeout in these 5 games. Is that you starting to see that sort of turn for Vinny Pasquantino, that it's paying off his approaches and his at-bats?
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure the adjustments he's made, if any, but I know maybe about a week or so back, he got like 3 hits in a game, and he didn't really hit any of the balls hard. I kind of teased him a little bit, saying, hey, you're finally figuring this thing out. You don't have to hit line drives to get base hits. It seemed like everything he hit was either right into the shift or right at somebody on a line. And so he's like, yeah, I'm becoming a more intelligent or a smarter hitter here. Something to that effect. But now that we're starting to see some balls that are have that launch angle to where his power plays, it's good to see the results, because I think for a hitter to continue to go up and hit the ball hard and have nothing to show for it can be very frustrating. But once you start to get a couple of those balls that drop in, once you get a couple balls that find those holes, and then you get a couple balls that leave the ballpark. It's got to make you feel pretty good.
Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports TV, Royals Insider, Royals Hall of Famer, presented by Sandlot Goods. Brady Singer had the goods yesterday. He was pretty awesome. 6 strikeouts, no walks. He gave up only 1 run in 7 1/3 innings. This is a guy that's been completely different since he came back up to the big leagues from getting sent down. And a lot of that, Monty, has been attributed to the changeup and, him incorporating that pitch. But I will say the last, 3 starts for Brady Singer, he's given up 5 total earned runs, and he's got 19 strikeouts and 2 walks in those. And he's only thrown 11 total changeups out of, almost 300 pitches. He's thrown 11 total changeups. So is it just the fact that he has that it keeps hitters off balance, or knowing he can go to that? Has that changeup, knowing he can go to that, given him extra confidence with the sinker slider? Because the sinker has had so much movement, and he's been on point. What do you see from him, and is it maybe just a natural progression, or did that changeup do a lot maybe mentally for him, that he just has a feel and a comfort with it, even though he's not really throwing it as often as he did when he first came back up?
Yeah, it's really difficult to put your finger on exactly what the reason is, but I think there's probably a number of factors. First, we've talked about the process for guys that have stuff, they have ability, they're prospects for a reason, they have their fair share of struggles and issues coming out, their first year or 2 in the major leagues, and finally they kind of figure things out. And that's just a process that really everybody goes through, and it's the timetable's not the same for everyone. And I think what's happening with a lot of our younger pitchers is they're finally kind of figuring things out for themselves. I know the changeup has to be a positive for Brady Singer. The reason he never threw a changeup for so many years was the fact he never needed a changeup. His two-seam fastball and his slider were so good, he really never needed that third pitch. And then when he was going through that process of getting established at the big league level, everyone talked about, hey, he needs that third pitch, which he will, and he does. But the fact that now he has it, I think it plants a little seed in the hitter's mind that, hey, he does have a changeup, and it's a good changeup to go along with a two-seam fastball that probably has as much life and movement as anyone that you're going to see. And then he's got a slider that's, a swing and miss type pitch. So he's got all these tools that he can go to, but I think it's just a combination of really all of those things coming together. And certainly I'm sure it's very rewarding for Brady Singer. I know the organization's got to be thrilled to see that here's a guy that was your first pick in the 18 draft. Now he's established himself as one of the best young pitchers in the game and throwing the ball really as well as about anybody. And I know yesterday was maybe not his most dominant start, but to me it was the most efficient start that I've seen from him. Really, really trusting his stuff. I heard him use the word attack a number of times after the game yesterday, talking about his performance. And that's just something that once you believe in your stuff and you feel really good about your stuff and you're able to command your superior stuff and those pitches, then you can trust it and go out and attack hitters and not feeling like you have to make a perfect pitch every time. I mean, he struck a couple guys out yesterday on two-seam fastballs that literally started probably 6 inches on the glove side or the first base side of the plate and finished in the middle of the strike zone. I mean, literally right in the middle of the strike zone. But the left-handed hitters, they gave up on it. It just locked him up, and they gave up on that pitch and called third strike. He gets as many called strikes as about anybody I've seen for a long time. And when you get called strikes as a pitcher, that really does a lot. And it says a lot about what your stuff's all about because it's just so good that you're beating hitters when that ball's not even halfway to the plate. They've given up on it. Next thing you know, it's in the strike zone and you're getting a called strike. So it's his stuff just has played really well.
Yeah, when a guy gives up on it because it looks like a ball and it comes back over the plate and it's a pretty easy strike call and the hitter complains to the umpire, you know you got some movement on it because that thing certainly, he's seen that against New York. He was just absolutely dominant in what he was able to do. And I'll go, maybe not even yesterday, but going back to his previous start against the White Sox, which was a week ago today on August 3rd, that He gives up 4 earned runs in 6 innings. He's got only 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. It's not what we had seen from Brady Singer as of late when he's got, 12 Ks and 2 walks, and in Yankee Stadium, 10 strikeouts and 1 walk, and yesterday 6 Ks, no walks. The start he had, the previous one against the White Sox, wasn't his typical outing that we've seen from him, but I saw something different in Brady Singer in that start to where he had base runners all over the place. He gave up a career high in hits. And he didn't have a blow-up inning, Monty. Like, how often have we seen Singer in his young career just kind of lose it on the mound and have one inning where it just falls apart? That he's dominant for 3, 4th inning he gives up 5 runs, and then he comes back out in the 5th and 6th and gets, 6 straight guys out, but he gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. We saw that so often with him that he just had these meltdown innings. And I wonder a year ago, maybe even 2020 certainly is his first year in the bigs, if that start against the White Sox would have been 6 innings and 4 earned runs, or it would have been 3 innings and 6 earned runs or something like that.
Yeah, that's that process I was talking about. That's a little bit of that process, too, just kind of understanding what you need to do to make some adjustments. And, I'll go back to a game he pitched against the San Francisco Giants earlier this year. He was cruising along. I think he walked 4 consecutive batters in an inning, and he limited the damage. He goes in the dugout. He gets with Cal Eldred. They make some suggestions and some adjustments. He goes back out, and he pitched like another 2 or 3 innings. It was just he had that one inning. It was not pretty. He couldn't throw a strike, but he did get through it, and then he went back out and provided a couple, 3 more innings, for his ball club. So it's just, again, the game's pretty quick. Yeah. And when you're a younger player, sometimes it's difficult to slow things down, kind of in the heat of that moment out there in the middle of the field on that pitcher's mound. But once you get some experience and you've experienced some failure, especially, and then you've learned how to make those adjustments and learn from those failures, then it makes it easier next time around. And again, that's what we're seeing with more and more of the young pitchers.
Yeah, we're seeing from him that, what people talked about, that he could have been the number 1 pick, could have been a top 5 pick in the draft, and the Royals took him where they did. Last one on Brady Singer. If he continues this progression, how good can he be for a staff? So what I'm asking is, there's a number 1 on every staff. So it's like this is our quote-unquote ace of the staff. But it doesn't make them an ace in baseball, right? There's a handful of aces in baseball. If we're looking at a legitimate 1, a legitimate 2, on down to, the 5 guys in a rotation, how good can Singer be? Does he have the ability of maybe being in that handful of guys of being an ace? Or is he maybe a middle-of-the-pack, like, real number 1? Is he a top-end, like, legit top-end number 2? How good do you think Brady Singer could be?
Well, his stuff plays out to where he could pitch on any pitching staff, and where he slots in obviously depends on who's surrounded on that pitching staff with him. But I don't think anyone would argue that he has the stuff to be a top rotation guy. He could be the best pitcher on a lot of baseball teams. Maybe not the best in the game, but he could be one of the top in the game. And I think the key for him will be just continue to make those steps in the right direction, eliminate those tough games where you talked about earlier where it might be a blow-up inning. And he's just getting there. He's just kind of learning how to do that. So I think he really plays out well when you project him in a rotation. And, what can he do for a team? Well, gosh, there's a guy that, as a teammate, whether it be a guy who's sitting on the bullpen or a guy that's going to be playing defense behind him, when you have a guy like Brady Singer, when it's his day to pitch, your confidence level is very high because you know that there's a good chance he's going to get you deep into a baseball game, and you're going to likely have a good chance to win that game. So it feels really good when you go to the ballpark with a guy like Singer on the mound, and oftentimes those are difficult to find, and we've experienced that unfortunately a lot, in Royals baseball. But now we're starting to see good reasons why, when you go to the ballpark, whether it be Brady Singer or Daniel Lentz or Chris Bubich or like we feel pretty good about the guys we're taking the hill and giving this team a chance to win. And I think that's why, since the last, say, 40 or 50 games, the team's been essentially a 500 team, which I thought they would have been coming out of the gate and really during the course of the entire season, but the first 2 months were so bad. Didn't score any runs, and when we did score runs, we didn't pitch the ball. So they just finally got things in sync now. But I think a big reason for that, starting pitching, going out there, giving them a chance to win almost every night they go out there.
It's interesting you talk about, guys that are in the field or maybe in the bullpen and what Singer does. I would have to imagine, we've talked about Keller and the pace that he pitches it with. Brady Singer's that guy too. Like, he gets on the mound and confident, like, give me the ball back, let's go, next pitch. That it like Eloy Jimenez yesterday had to like stand outside the box for a little bit just to take a couple of deep breaths to throw Brady Singer off his timing. And we've seen some, like Chris Archer and Doug Davis are human rain delays, that they just take their time out there on the mound and take their time. And Singer's not that guy, so that probably is enjoyable to play defense behind him as well. And I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, Monty, when he pitched against the Yankees. And Andrew Benintendi led off for the Yankees, and the first time the Royals went up against, Benintendi, Singer on the mound. It'd be hard to think back now, but it was 3 strikes for Benintendi and a strikeout for Singer against Benintendi. Do you know how long it took from pitch number 1 to pitch number 3 with the foul ball in there?
I'm going to say 25 seconds.
33. And it's, you're right on, because I asked it on the air, and it was like, I don't know, a minute and a half. 2 minutes. There was a foul ball. We know what goes on in today's. From the first pitch with a foul ball to strike 3, it was 33 seconds, Monty, for Brady Singer, and that's kind of that's rare in today's game. And I think that goes back to that confidence thing as well. So, look, I'm excited anytime Singer gets on the mound, because it certainly feels like he has turned a corner, and you see what the Royals saw in him. Jeff Montgomery is our guest. Kris Bubic on the mound tonight. Since he's been called back up, Monty, he's got a sub-4 ERA, and his WHIP is still pretty high. It's about a 1.5 base runners per inning, and that certainly needs to come down. But that's kind of where he's been throughout his career. But he's limited the damage. Kris Bubic now pitching into the 6th inning. He's going longer into games. What are you seeing from Bubic since he was called back up? Because again, sub-4 ERA. That'll play as a 4th or 5th starter. If that's Kris Bubic on your team and you've got, 1, 2, 3, you're feeling pretty good about that guy in your rotation.
Well, one common denominator we're hearing here now, since they've been called back up.
Good point, yeah.
Now, one thing I think has a little bit to do with since they've been called back up. Think about this. There's a pitch clock in the minor leagues. Okay, so they have to work quick. They have to get on a little bit of a pace. And I think when a pitcher does that, it gives him some confidence in his stuff, because he can't think a lot about it. He just understands, I've got to execute a pitch. And I think that pitch clock does a lot for those guys. When they go down, I know they make some other adjustments, but I think the pitch clock has a little bit to do with it. There's going to be a pitch clock in the big leagues next year. So I think it's, the Chris Archers of the world, they're going to have some issues. They're going to have to go out and figure some things out. We've got a couple of our guys like Josh Staumont. Josh Staumont's going to have to maybe be a faster worker. I think that will be good for guys. But back to Kris Bubic, here's a guy who now trusts his stuff. He's had better fastball command. He's using his curveball much more effectively, and I think that helps set up his changeup, which pretty much for the most part has always been there for him. It's been a pitch he can go to when he needs it. But I think just the adjustments we've seen from Kris, because he obviously struggled mightily early this season. I kind of felt like his stuff maybe wasn't quite as crisp, or maybe I'll say a little short compared to where it is now. So it's good to see the ball coming out of his hand the way it is. It's good to see him commanding a fastball and using that breaking ball more and more, and just giving him the confidence to throw it in those situations, especially when he does get a left-handed batter. But I think that's what I've seen, and again, kind of falls in a little bit of that same category as what we talked about with Brady Singer, just kind of finally starting to figure some things out at this level, and then having the confidence to go out and make those pitches and execute those pitches.
Last one for you, Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer, Royals Insider here for 810, presented by Sandlot Goods. The importance of winning. We talked about the youth and how much fun they're having, and, we see them, going to the ballpark and excited to go out there and play, and there's a different energy level, and they're talented, and they want to, stay in the big leagues and things like that. As the season progresses, as they wind down through August and September, assuming these guys and considering these guys are going to be on the team next year, and starting the season with this club, what's the importance of not just going out and performing and getting hits and showing that you belong and giving little glimpses of what how good they can be? What's the importance of actually finding ways to win games the rest of the way and maybe playing even 500 baseball the last couple of months?
Yeah, I think it's important. Success breeds success, and when you are successful as a team, you win baseball games. And oftentimes after a baseball game on our post-game show on Valley Sports, you'll say, hey, this team played good enough to win, or sometimes they'll say, hey, they played just good enough to lose. And when teams aren't going well, they find ways to play just good enough to lose, and that's where you want to kind of turn the ship around, get it going in the right direction. And we saw that. Let's go back to the years when they brought up the young core of players that won back-to-back American League championships. Those guys, they won in the minor leagues. They struggled for a while at the big league level. Eventually, they learned how to win, and I felt like that kind of started happening in 2013, and then obviously the second half of 2014, it really it set sail, and it was on a real good course. And obviously win a league championship, win a World Series championship. So it's just important to learn how to win as a team, and that's what you hope to see over these last couple months for this ball club.
Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer, Royals Insider, presented by Sandlot Goods. Monty, really appreciate the time. Enjoy the game tonight, the afternoon game tomorrow, and looking forward to our conversation next week.
Okay, can't wait, Jason. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports TV, Royals Hall of Famer, Royals Insider, presented by Sandlot Goods, sandlotgoods.com, Kansas City's hat manufacturer. Thank you to Monty. Royals in action tonight, day game tomorrow. Dodgers coming up this weekend for the Royals. And, yeah, Brady Singer's been awesome. The youth movement's been fun. We'll see what they can do the rest of the way, whether the wins or, losses come along the way, and how they do in terms of their stats and putting some numbers up. They certainly did that yesterday. All 6 RBIs driven in by rookies. 4 of the 6 runs scored by the rookies. Brady Singer was just awesome, as usual. And since July, he's top 20 in ERA, top 10 in strikeouts in all of baseball, and 12th in strikeouts per 9. He's pretty good. Pretty good so far since July. And the guys in front of him, if you look at strikeouts per 9, Spencer Strider, Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, Christian Javier, Max Scherzer, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Yu Darvish, Charlie Morton, Braxton Garrett, Brady Singer. It's pretty good. Pretty good in strikeouts per 9. And if we just look at, strikeouts overall, like total number of strikeouts, him being, 9th? Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Spencer Strider, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Corbin Burns, Shohei Ohtani, Carlos Rodon, Brady Singer. That's the group he's with since July. And that's 7 starts since July for Brady Singer? I know we like to say small sample size. We do that. But that's just looking at strikeouts and even ERA. But we are seeing something different from him since he was called back up. A good point by Monty. But since he's been called back up, the guy's got a 3.31 ERA in 15 starts. A 1.14 whip in 15 starts. 94 strikeouts in 92 innings. 21 walks to 94 strikeouts in the 92 innings. We'll see what Bubic can do tonight, because Bubic hasn't been too shabby either when it comes to the month of July and on into August as well. Because he's not exactly, Brady Singer-ing it with the top-line ERA. But he's got, barely over a 3 ERA, looking it up right now. Bubic, where he ranks in ERA, 31st with a 3.24 ERA in his last 7 starts. 31st in baseball of all starters. Brady Singer, 20th. Last 7 starts from both those guys. There's a reason why the Royals have been pretty decent in the month of July and on into August, and certainly with the bats. They will come and go. There'll be some highs and lows with the bats with the young guys, but certainly seeing some consistency with some of these guys, and certainly some starters as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling. More Zone right after this. We'll talk with, hang out with Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour. We head up till 2 o'clock on this Wednesday. More right after this.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, what'd you learn this weekend, Briscoe?
Or in the Beards as a bleep head.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, thank you to Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, Royals Insider for Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Sandlot Goods. Thank you to him. Enjoy talking about this team now. It's we have gone through so many of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the season talking Royals baseball that I'll be honest, there have been times getting ready to talk with Monty that I'm like, I don't really know what to say here except for, hey, Crappy McCrapperson stuff out at McCrappy Ballpark.
It's a weird way
Am
to
I
pronounce.
McCrappy right? I mean, and it's like, oh, hey, Monty, here's some lipstick. Here's a pig. Let's get through these 20 minutes. There have been some shows like that. And those aren't the most fun to get. Like these are great. These are fun because there's the optimism and the hope about, the kids are going to be all right.
Did you ever watch Black Mirror?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I heard about it. I almost did, but I did not.
Show's pretty good. I would never suggest that anybody start with the very first episode that is available, episode 1, season 1.
It's odd that you would not start with the first episode of the season of the series.
And everyone who has watched Black Mirror and started there, everyone listening right now is nodding along saying Josh is right about this one. And it's also, I thought of it only because you said the phrase lipstick on a pig, and that episode forever ruined that phrase for me.
Okay.
Many other things it's ruined.
Yeah.
It ruined a month of my life, perhaps. The rest of the show is really good. But they're all self-contained episodes.
Well, that would make sense then as to why you wouldn't have to watch episode 1.
Frankly, I would recommend skipping episode 1 if you want to.
Turns out I've skipped the whole season.
You know what? Also defensible. I just thought I'd ask since you used the phrase lipstick on a pig. Beards, did you watch Black Mirror?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but
That's
that's
all right.
okay. You don't have to tell me.
Nope. You can Google it if you. I don't think there is a good way for me to talk about it on the radio. So we can. I'm
Very
just
good.
curious,
Very good. Webb City, Missouri has defeated Iowa in the Little League Midwest Region Championship. They now move on to Friday, and they are 3-0 in the double elimination tournament. That means that Iowa and North Dakota will play, and then whoever wins that would have to beat Missouri twice to keep Missouri out of going to the Little League World Series.
One step closer for the kid that we're a fan of here to have his dream job as a chicken nugget taster.
If they're for no other reason, obviously, than Missouri to make the Little League World Series there. For no other reason other than they have a player whose dream job is to be a chicken nugget taste tester.
That's still Beards' ultimate goal. We all know that.
Is that your dream job, Beards? Like, if you had a dream job, maybe gamer might be that, but if you had like a dream job, you could pick your job.
Why not both?
Now that you know that chicken nugget taste tester is on the table.
Yes, it's a possibility. Don't
Slim
stop
chicken
dreaming.
taste tester. There we go.
I mean, that's.
I love that the guy's like, you know what, dream it. If you want to be it, then make it happen. It seems like there might be a deficiency in the market. I know 0 chicken nugget taste testers.
So here's the thing. It's not my job, but it is my passion. It's
Okay.
something that I'll grind the film, the late night hours, drive to different. I waited in a drive-through at a Popeyes for 20 minutes on Sunday, and they've never had every item in your order that you ever want at Popeyes. It never happens. I just went through like 15 things. Like, we don't have that. We do have some chicken and some red beans and rice. It's like, all right, that's fine. I'll take
Looks
it.
like that's what I'm eating.
Guess I'll have it. You should have pulled up and just had you say what you did have. Would have probably been more useful. But you know what? I love it. I'm built different. It's for the love of the game. And
That's right.
the game is eating fried chicken.
Oddly enough, the only thing we have left is a Captain Crunch. So would you like? I mean, I guess if that's all you have left, Popeyes, then
I think
guess
it'd be
I'll take
better
that.
if it came from Popeyes. I think if Popeyes was like, "Hi, we have special Popeyes Captain Crunch. Is it different at all? Nope.
Southern style Captain Crunch.
It's just served in a Popeyes container
with one of their biscuits.
Well, now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas. You know where Webb City is? I had to Google it.
Yeah, it's down by Springfield, right?
It is almost exactly
Joplin,
at
Springfield?
it is almost exactly it is west of Springfield. Okay. It is almost directly at the border of Kansas and Oklahoma, just on the Missouri side of that overlap. Like it is almost a 3 states in one sort of situation there. So
yeah, but
represented just straight south of here, Webb City.
Yeah,
just
but
a decent amount south.
But it is not in Kansas, nor is it in Oklahoma. It is in Missouri,
Missouri's
and they're one win away from going to the Little League World Series. So, congratulations to them.
Jerseys, do you think, for the Little League World Series?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I do find it odd, though.
Get an XXXXXXXL.
I do find it odd that after the game is over, then ESPN interviews one of the players. Like, dude's like 12, and it's like, hey, you went 1 for 4 with a 2 RBI triple. Hey, Brady, you excited about a half-day school starting in a couple of weeks?
What were you seeing on that 2-1 there?
Yeah.
What was he showing you?
How often does your dad yell at you to go out and practice?
You worried about your elbow later in life?
At what point in the last 4 or 5 years did you think, I hate baseball and I hate my dad? How often has that happened for you?
Would you rather just be watching cartoons right now?
Hey, they put you out there for 120 pitches today, Jimmy. Is your arm still attached?
Hey, Brady, has Jackson found a chicken nugget he didn't like?
What was his full name, Beard? The chicken nugget taster?
I gotta find it. I'll look.
It was really, really
exactly.
good. It was extremely baseball. It was like Brady something. It was incredible.
Well, the kid that they interviewed was named Brady Haxton.
That wasn't him.
I mean,
okay.
We got to see if we can just find the names on these rosters,
But it's
man.
Brady spelled B-R-A-T-I-E.
No.
Whoa, God,
Not
really?
like Tom Brady.
Brady?
Brady.
That's tough,
Haxton.
man.
Woo!
That's tough.
Yeah. Boy, there are a lot of they're highlighting this Massachusetts player named Jaden Murphy. Oh man, there's some good ones. Kid by the name of Nick Prado.
That one sounds made
Brody
up.
Jackson.
Brody, come on, Brody. You got Brady and Brody?
So you got Brady Haxton and Brody Jackson.
Those are characters from Point Break, a movie I've seen. Are you impressed with me, Jason?
I am impressed with you. How about that? Wow.
Shout out to my uncle.
You'll never make it.
I haven't seen it.
It's fun. It's not. I don't know if it's good, but it is fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and it's fun. Same time.
It's
good
like
and fun.
if you hold on. I almost. Oh God, I'm about to. If I start transforming into Corey right now, somebody unplug me and plug me back in again. But did you ever see Top Gun?
I've seen bits of Top Gun.
Okay.
The first one or Maverick?
The first one.
Okay.
I was say Point Break is like if Top Gun had more surfing and bank robberies and fewer airplanes. It'll make you feel a similar way.
So it's a completely different movie.
No, the vibe was sort of. I had a similar feeling watching it.
So
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
It's like Top Gun, only it's based in the Great Depression.
It came out 5 years after Top Gun.
There are 0 airplanes. There are no boats. There is no Top Gun school. But there is a Dust Bowl. So it's just like Top Gun, only there are grapes involved. And there's a wrath that takes place at some point as well.
It's Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, and they play characters named Johnny Utah and Bodie.
It's just like Top Gun, only put it in a courtroom and kill a mockingbird at the same time. Then, and no airplanes know anything. And it's fighting for justice. But just like Top Gun.
Did you know it's not actually about a mockingbird? Crazy.
So they don't spend the whole movie trying to kill a mockingbird?
It's a metaphor.
Because if it was my life, it would be to kill a squirrel.
Oh, you hate
and
squirrels?
It would be, I hate squirrels. You know
why
what
do you hate
squirrels are?
squirrels?
Squirrels are rats with longer tails.
Yeah, but they live outside. You can watch them enjoy your backyard.
Picture a squirrel.
I'm doing it right now.
Now take that tail away. That's a rat.
Don't dismember a squirrel, Jason. Problem solved.
Squirrels are rats with a better PR firm.
They have big fluffy tails. Enjoy the big fluffy tail.
They are rats with a better PR firm. That's what squirrels are.
They're outdoor
But for some
rats.
reason, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I hit a squirrel on the road."
Yeah.
No, would you say, "Oh my gosh, I hit a rat on the road"? No,
I
you'd
would
be like,
feel bad
"Hey,
about that.
I hit a rat on the road. Oh, thank goodness."
I would feel bad
No.
about hitting a rat on the road.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would.
It's a rat.
What are dogs if not just big rats? Everything's a rat if you make it small enough and take their tail.
No. Dogs.
What's a cat if not a big mouse? What are we if not hairless apes?
Well, that is that's how you would
And
describe
what's an
the show.
ape if not a big rat? Hello, we're all rats. Rats all the way down. You're welcome. Anyway, Beards, Point Break's pretty fun.
Back to the point.
Oh.
Squirrels are rats with longer tails,
Fluffier tails.
and every one of them can go bye-bye.
Wow.
Every single one of them.
This is really gonna hute your Q rating with fiance Renee, who
She likes rats with longer tails and fluffier tails?
Who works at a wildlife rescue center in Missouri,
Well,
which
have
does
her-
include bottle feeding baby squirrels. But
Great.
you would have her just
Great.
dropping them in the
No.
garbage disposal, or what?
I mean, if that's the other choice, if it's a choice between baby feeding them and then dropping them into my backyard
They don't have to
by
be
the
in your
tomatoes
backyard.
and zucchini and apples, or the garbage disposal.
You're not. Are you growing apples at your house?
Well, we have an apple tree.
Do you
And we grow
really?
tomatoes and zucchini.
That's whimsical. I like
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
But you know what squirrels like? Tomatoes and apples.
Top Gun.
And Point Break.
And killing a mockingbird.
And destroying everything that you love, including your favorite mockingbird.
And the grapes of wrath. We don't have grapes, but they will face the wrath if they were to eat those. That I
Magic.
can promise you.
Imagine tuning into this segment exactly 1.5 minutes ago.
Does she have a? I know that people are. I'll check the text line when we go
No,
to break,
no,
and
don't worry
everybody
about it.
and everybody will be like, "Here's how you do this." Believe me, I've got about 30 different ways that I've gone about this.
Sure.
But what I need is Renee just to simply come to my backyard and then take these squirrels away, and then find a different, safer habitat for them because it's not safe for them in my backyard.
Relocate 2 squirrels with 1 stone, I think is the
That's what
famous,
I've been trying to
the
do.
famous phrase.
There have been stones involved. Yes.
I can ask if we can have a squirrel abduction, and that's
Squirrel relocation.
gonna just make everybody
That
happy.
would be great. Neighbors across the street would like the rabbit relocation.
Okay. We
What I would like is for our neighborhood fox to come back. We had an awesome fox that lived in our neighborhood in our cul-de-sac 2 years ago, and it was great because, let me promise you, squirrels and rabbits, not around us.
tell you what, if you ever see that fox, like maybe it got hit by a car or something,
Oh,
or looks
no,
like
that
it's in
would be
bad
sad.
shape,
Yeah. Be
you
like-
let me. If it's if there's some life in it still, you let me know. I'll get it to Renee. I won't take the fox. I'll get the message to Renee, and then Renee
That's
can
right,
handle
yeah.
it because that's above my. I don't.
I hope
do
not.
That.
I loved that fox.
I'm here for emotional support. I'm not going to move a.
The fox
injured
lived
animal,
under the
probably.
deck of our next door neighbor, and
That's
it was
awesome.
Oh, it was great. And baby fox is Foxeye, Phi.
Beards, is there something you wanted us to do here?
More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
I never get excited about guys running around in their underwear.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Well, we've done it. So last week, or maybe it was Monday, I can't remember, or I was out Monday. Maybe it was yesterday, who knows? Then when we talked about the cat with Hosmer, it was last week.
Yeah.
And Jed was like, you don't have a cat problem, you have a wife problem.
Yeah.
So now we have a texter that apparently very offended by text says, you guys just lost a dog lover as a listener with the comment that dogs are nothing but large rats.
Not first of all, that's mine. Second of all, not what I said. Third of all,
I texted, is this a real text? Like, is this like sarcasm?
Loosen your belt or tie or whatever, a little bit.
Said, I was very offended. I also sent the same text to Todd Lebo. I didn't take it as a joke. Very poor taste.
I love my big rat.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling?
Become an influential leader with the University of St. Mary MBA. Ranked as the most affordable online business school, a St. Mary MBA offers an exceptional return on investment. stmary.edu/MBA. The Royals split a doubleheader yesterday with another excellent start from Brady Singer in the winning game, but a 3-2 loss credited to Jonathan Heasley in Game 2. Today, Johnny Cueto takes the mound for Chicago against Chris Bubich for Kansas City. Yesterday afternoon, the Chiefs signed former first-round defensive tackle Danny Shelton, who's bounced around with the Patriots, Lions, and Giants in recent years. And the NFL officially approved the sale of the Denver Broncos for a record $4.65 billion to the Walton Penner Group. That's a lot of money to buy a team that's already owned by Patrick Mahomes. More of The Zone just around the corner. I'm Joshua Briscoe. This is SportsCenter.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm just being a smartass.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. Apparently, there's a new segment we're going to unveil today.
I forgot we were doing that.
Hour. Yeah, so did I. I was going to ask you how we do that. So, looking forward to this first segment being completely unprepared.
Which will be so weird for all of the rest of us. I was going to say so weird for you, but that's not fair. You're very prepared.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Doesn't translate to the radio, but I do like to. You know, you never stop. This is what I told Dylan, the intern. Dylan and Jack. You never stop preparing. The show starts.
Yeah, I think that's that's a very interesting way. So this is something that I want us to be able to do every once in a while. You know, have a little space to like stretch out and try to figure out each other's game a little bit because we've been around each other and we've been hearing each other over the years. But you know, kind of figuring out how we're going to work together is always a work in progress. And I hear that very much. Again, you come through with everything you could ever need for like every point you bring to the table. You just need an editor.
That's right. Yeah. I need you to shave the 2,000 word down to 500 words.
And everybody does.
But I've got 4 hours, so it's like, you know.
Right.
In radio, that 500 words should go up to 2,000.
You need to stretch sometimes.
Like, here's the thing. If I'm writing a column.
Yeah.
Now it's 10:05.
Right.
So what are you going to do till 2? Because you just used 5 minutes. You got a lot more columns to write before the show is over.
Absolutely. But everybody needs an editor. That was my take on like the last several Drake albums. Drake needs an editor. He's one of the most rich, famous, and powerful people in the entertainment world. And Drake needs somebody to be like, hey man, what if you just shorten this or that up? And I think sometimes I have too much editor brain. Yeah. And I say, hey, we've got the core stuff that we need here. We're good. And I think that might work out.
Yeah. If you want to get used to my game, fast break, I'm fading out to the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the wing. Do not lead me to the hole.
Right.
I'm going to fade to the wing.
Okay, that's
just
good.
Know that I'm going to be Klay Thompson here.
Yeah, we'll work to get you the shot. Beards, where's your role in this? If we're spreading the court, we had a fast break here, 3v3.
Briscoe's got the ball. Bring it up in the middle. We've got to fill the lane. So where are you at?
Jason's drifting to the corner, and then Beards turns around to play defense against me.
I'm going to the wing. I'm not drifting to the corner. I'm just going to the wing. Depending now, if I've got a defender and you start driving to the basket, then I will slide down like I'm taught to the corner.
Of course.
So you'll have to look for me there. Beards, what are you doing?
Probably on the bench.
Okay, very good. Watching, cheering?
On Reddit. He's on Reddit.
He's on sad fans on Reddit.
He's scrolling through Reddit.
Sad bench players on Reddit. He's going to bring to the table with that one?
Looking for material.
Yes. So the Broncos were sold.
They were.
Another text comes in right along the lines that you went with they can't sell the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes has not signed off on the transaction.
Patrick Mahomes, people are saying that he might be the first athlete billionaire. Now, I think ultimately Tiger Woods is ahead of him on that. Yeah. I think LeBron is maybe already there.
I think he already got there.
Brady's certainly going to push on that. But Mahomes, depending on where your math is, Mahomes might be the first billionaire. He could have become the first 5-time over billionaire yesterday if the NFL would have acknowledged his true ownership.
Text says Beards is the coach calling timeouts every 30 seconds.
That's good.
Timeout. That's good. No, we need to stop. Guys, we need a break.
Wow.
Break. You guys are tired. Break. Come on over here. Let's get a break in.
And the tip controlled by Team Zone and whistle. Timeout. Timeout, Coach Beards. Not Coach Beard. That would be have you considered suing Ted Lasso for stealing your bit? They have a Coach Beards.
I could sue Apple.
feel like you should sue Apple.
By the way,
That would go well.
I want to read a couple of the other texts from the same texter that sent in about beards with calling a timeout every
Please.
30 seconds. Because there are some texters that are just pretty good.
You're paying attention. You get the show within the show sometimes.
It's not a volume texter. Mm-hmm. So it's been 4 texts in the last month or so. I do a Jason impression, but I can't talk for 30 minutes without breathing.
It's one of the things that makes Jason an exceptional talent. It's like being double jointed.
The lady that had the Sam McDowell sign that trade Sam McDowell, keep Whit Merrifield.
Yeah.
He texted in and said Mellinger gave her that sign. Yeah, it's a good texter. In fact, if that texter would like to go to the 100-year celebration tomorrow night, go ahead and send in your information.
Yeah, I think
email.
Well deserved.
Send in your phone number. Oh wait,
No,
text
you
line has
have
it. But your name, because that's just going to be simply you want it on merit alone.
I've got Mellinger now, like standing at the front gate, just kind of waiting around, and then this lady comes in. They make eye contact. He like nods and comes over, like she hands it under the fence. He like shoves it up his shirt, and kind of smuggles it in, trying not to alert anybody. And then all of a sudden, boom, sign of the year.
913-912-4810. So the Broncos were sold or bought, whatever way you want to call it. Rob Walton was at the podium during the intro. And
Walmart is the Walmart or Walton. That is where all this money comes from. It's from the Wall.
I thought it was Wahlburger.
It's a common mistake. Also unrelated to Walgreens. Not the Walgreens family.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Rob Walton, the now Broncos owner, gets to the podium and starts thanking people, including whoever this fella is.
I'd like to thank Roger Goodell, Commissioner Goodell.
Roger Goodell.
Was
Commissioner Goodell.
Was that the lady who did all the chimp studies? Jane Goodall?
I'm not sure.
I don't think that's right.
You just bought a team in the NFL. You're an owner, and you're such a huge football fan that the commissioner's Roger Goodell.
I would learn his name for $5 billion.
Now, this is coming from somebody who gets names wrong all the time, but I promise you this. When I got the job here, I didn't call him Chad Booger.
In fairness, it would be like him. It would almost be more like Chad calling you James Anderson. Because really,
James Anderson.
Because really, Mr. Goodell, he works for the owner. But you'd really like everybody in that situation to know the other person's name. That's a really tough look.
There are some names that you would need to know when you go to the podium and say, this is very exciting to be one of the now 32 owners in the National Football League, and would love to thank Commissioner Roger Goodell. Wade Jones.
It can't. If you are Rob Walton, you can't. The two things you can't get wrong are Roger Goodell and like Bob Elway. You can't call him Bob Elway.
Can't call him John Elway.
You can't. It can't be Mr. Elway. You've gotta practice that one in the mirror first. Even billionaires need editors. This is my continuing life philosophy.
Everybody needs an editor?
Everybody needs an editor.
See, Corey needed a filter, but you're saying everybody else needs an editor.
An editor can help you filter. Everyone needs it for different reasons, different ways. Drake needs somebody to cut like 5 songs out of each of his last several albums. Mr. Walton needs one to just sort of give some feedback directorially.
Roger Goodell. So Roger Goodell was around some other owners yesterday, and he has now weighed in for the first time on the NFL, announcing that they will appeal, and it's going to be heard by someone that has worked closely with the NFL for a while. Here's Roger Goodell on why the NFL has decided to appeal the length of the suspension for Deshaun Watson.
We've seen the evidence. She was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there was multiple violations here, and they were egregious, and it was predatory behavior. Those are things that we always felt were really important for us to address in a way that's responsible.
So Judge Robinson gave out the suspension, but as we've talked about, she found in favor of the NFL.
Right.
Which cannot then be appealed or disputed. Those are the facts of the case. What she found, it's just a matter of what the penalty structure is going to be. Pro Football Network this morning put out a report that the expectation is, and I forget the guy's name who is now going to be hearing the appeal for the NFL, who was designated by Roger Goodell to do this, who has worked with the NFL, who worked with the NFL on the Ezekiel Elliott appeal.
Peter C. Harvey is the designee.
Yes, that's right. Peter C. Harvey. And Pro Football Network had a report that, and this is not like groundbreaking, but it was the expectation is that the suspension is going to be substantial for Deshaun Watson. And one of the people that they talked to pointed to Peter C. Harvey's history and background of fighting domestic violence and sexual assault allegations, physical or violent and nonviolent, that his work throughout the years of his career of prosecuting those. So if there were somebody, and maybe that's why Roger Goodell designated him, is that this may be something that he has spent a life's work going after and prosecuting those that have, and he has a lot of history with it, obviously, with doing that in his career, that he would then say, this is the guy we're going to put in charge, because if there's somebody that understands what went on, what Judge Sue Robinson found to have taken place, and understanding how to put that into context, it would be this person who a good portion of his professional career was dealing with such things.
I think you've done a good job of highlights.
Let's go ahead and take a break.
Let's go ahead and take a break.
Done
Jason did a good
done.
job.
All right.
I think you've done a good job with this, but I'm going to keep reiterating it every time we come around to this because I think it's an important part that a lot of people have kind of missed the details on. There is no appeal or even appeal process agreed upon for if either side was unhappy with the ruling of the conduct violation that happened.
Yeah.
Those are the facts. What is collectively bargained is the NFL says, we see what she found. We understand that is just what it is. That's locked into place.
Mm-hmm.
We are appealing specifically the suspension and what we think should be recommended there. I don't know if you want to play the ESPN Daily clip from a couple days ago. It just does a pretty good job. Emily Kaplan's filling in on ESPN Daily for Pablo Torre right now, and Jake Trotter, Browns reporter for ESPN, was on the show a few days back. And I thought they did a pretty good job here of kind of summarizing some of those finer points.
But this is collectively bargained, so the NFLPA agreed to this new process too. How would you say it's all going out from their perspective?
Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people this week who maybe weren't that familiar with this part of the CBA, who are wondering why the NFLPA would agree to this particular appeals process. Because through Sue Robinson's finding, both sides were operating on equal ground to a degree. The NFLPA was able to make its case before a disciplinary officer that it had its say in appointing. The NFL, likewise, was able to make its case before a disciplinary officer that it had a say in appointing. But that's where the NFLPA loses a lot of its power in this process. And for whatever reason, the Players Association agreed to this process where basically, if there's any violation found, the NFL can really take over. They have the right to appeal, and then they get to choose who hears the appeal. You wonder next time a CBA is negotiated that this will be a point of contention. But for the time being, this is the way this process is going to go, and it gives the NFL a lot of leverage once a personal conduct policy violation is found.
So a couple of things to that point of, because that's been brought up a lot, is why would the players agree to this? Because then it can just go to Roger Goodell and he can then do whatever penalty he wants. The point that was made there is about the findings of fact, that they are doing this with an independent arbiter of saying she's going to hear the case and she is not working with the NFL to hear the case. Where Roger Goodell would hear the case and then have his findings, or the investigation and have his findings, and then the appeal would then be Roger Goodell, and then it would go to court. In this case, at least now with the new process, there is an independent arbiter that does not work for the union or the NFL, that what she finds to be the investigation and ruling cannot then be appealed. She or he, whoever it is, cannot then be appealed. You can only appeal the suspension length based on the CBA, based on recommendations, based on precedent, all of those things. But once she found in favor of the NFL, with all 4 of those cases, predatory behavior, egregious behavior, unprecedented findings that she ruled on, those are now indisputed. In the eyes of the court. Indisputed, they cannot be appealed. So, because if she would have found in favor of Deshaun Watson, the NFL then also could not appeal those findings.
Right.
And so, therefore, Deshaun Watson would have a stronger case if he were to go and sue, if the NFL wanted to extend the suspension to a year, and it was like, well, actually, she found in favor of Deshaun Watson. Then if you go to a court of law, they would have a better chance of winning. The other part of this, too, is the NFL players in this negotiation, it's a give and take. And so to get from the process it was to then get to this process, there are some things you have to give up along the way in a negotiation. The next CBA negotiation might eliminate Roger Goodell in the appeals process altogether.
Sure.
So you fight for that. If you were to fight for it all happening in one fell swoop in the new CBA, you might have to give up something more substantial than you would if you do it over 2 different CBA negotiations.
They'd be playing 25 regular season games.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
what's the wheels of justice turn slowly?
Yeah,
right. I mean,
yeah.
so the wheels of NFL Players Association feeling like there is justice served in how the cases are handled by the NFL league office, it's going to turn slowly from Roger Goodell being judge, jury, and executioner to now there is a middleman / woman that can rule on it, that her findings are fact, to then maybe next CBA, the appeal goes to a different arbiter and will hear that appeal process, that Roger Goodell and the NFL will not be involved in any way, shape, or form. That might be the next step.
Well, and the other thing about this is kind of wild is that this is the first time using this process. If this was something less than Deshaun Watson's accusations and profile and context, we'd be talking about it a whole lot less and a whole lot differently. And I'm not going to try to give an example of a quote unquote lesser personal conduct violation, because if you're in that category, it's all bad news. But the specifics of truly unprecedented scope in the number of accusers, and also those are not all being taken account of in Robinson's ruling. It's only the 4 there. But if it wasn't the scope of all the accusations, if it wasn't a quarterback, and if it wasn't a quarterback who had just been traded for the best contract in the history of the sport at any level, we would still all be framed differently. But so I wonder if the NFLPA behind closed doors is actually unhappy with the process, because if this happens with a lower profile player, the NFL probably isn't working quite as hard to say, hey, we got to make sure that this is an absolute example from here on out. You cannot have this be you cannot have this be an example of this new process and the league being weak on sexual violence against women. Like that is not a stance the NFL can abide by, which is why you're going to see them come out with their teeth, I believe, in this process of trying to get that year. Talking about Dan Lust, maybe it's 17 games, or maybe it's, if there's a definitive reinstatement date, Deshaun Watson should probably take it. You know what I mean? If he doesn't have to reapply for reinstatement,
right?
It's that still might work out okay from Deshaun Watson's perspective. Not that anybody should be rooting for Deshaun Watson to come out of this happy, but from his camp side.
Yeah, his camp has already played it wrong, because there was an agreement on the table, or at least an offer on the table from the NFL to have a 12-game suspension and not have Judge Sue Robinson hear the case. It was before that. We're offering 12 games right now. Deshaun Watson's camp said we want 0. They're like, well, that's obviously not going to happen. We don't believe we did anything wrong. We've denied it. We've been settling all these civil cases while denying everything. we don't want even 1 game suspension. We're offering 12. You understand we're going for a year and you having to apply for reinstatement. And oh, by the way, if added things come out from now until reinstatement, that might impact next year. We're offering you 12 and then it's over. And then we move on from this. And he said, no. Well, that was a mistake. That was clearly not reading the tea leaves in that Judge Drew Robinson found in favor of the NFL. And now it looks like it's going to be a year plus. Now, one other sidebar is that if, let's say, the appeal, it's supposed to be expedited, but like tomorrow there's new allegations against Deshaun Watson, that cannot be included in the appeal.
Right.
You cannot include any new information or any new allegations to the appeal. So it doesn't matter what happens from now until the appeal is ruled upon and the punishment is then handed down. If it's staying at 6 games or it's elevated to 10 or 12 or an entire season with having to apply for reinstatement and the expectation, at least some saying there might be a substantial fine of anywhere up to $10 million, which is substantial, maybe not in the grand scheme of things of his $250 million, and that he's making 46, 47 this year. So if he's fined $10 million, then that, it's a lot of people have had it a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Penalties out there.
It sounds like a ton of money, and then you did the math in terms of like, hey, make that a percentage of your salary. It's going to be a lot of money to everybody, but $10 million to Deshaun Watson is not $100,000 to me.
Look, if he's
Any of us.
if he's making 40 this year and he's fined $10 million, losing a quarter of your salary for a year is substantial.
Especially if you need every one of those paychecks, right?
And unless you're making $40 million, then losing 25% of your salary isn't as substantial as if you're making 50,000, not 50 million. So we'll see what that fine is going to be, but that's why the NFL wants to have him apply for reinstatement.
Exactly.
Is because they don't want this to then go on. The suspension is served 6 games. He comes back. Other things come out, and they go through the process all over again. They have now new arbiter, new NFL v. Deshaun Watson case, all of those things. Anything else comes out, we might just deny your reinstatement.
So the reinstatement thing in general, I think sometimes can come off as the NFL being kind of just like punitive to be like, and maybe we won't even let you back in the club. It's kind of like maybe Brady Singer will stay in Omaha. It's like, come on, like that's not. But so Calvin Ridley's suspension, he is eligible to be reinstated on February 15th, 2023. My reading on that the first time was being kind of punitive to be kind of punitive, whatever. But in reality, the NFL could make the argument to say, hey, we just want to, as long as he doesn't have another gambling thing come up by then, he's back in on February 16th and Atlanta Falcon once more, whatever. The same could be said for Watson, where it's, hey, you have to apply for reinstatement. That's not us rejudging you again or relitigating this case again. It's protecting ourselves in case somebody else comes forward in the next 12 months and says, hey, let me add on to this. Or imagine he did it again. Or he violates the terms that Judge Robinson put down of he only can have team-issued massage therapists. If he breaks one of those rules set in place or a law, some people would call some of those, if he breaks a law or breaks one of the NFL's rules, it's easier to keep him out than resuspend him, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so the reinstatement is not just if something else comes out. It's also there are certain markers he has to meet along the way to show that, if you're on probation, to show that you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing when you're meeting with your probation officer along the way before you are then, okay, now you are free and clear, no longer having to meet every whatever it is for that. For Deshaun Watson, just as Josh Gordon had to do certain things to then apply for reinstatement when, he had the drug offense, rehab, had passed this many drug tests, had to do, A, B, and C. Then he could apply for reinstatement and present his case that, hey, this is what you wanted me to do. Here is the evidence, documentation that I have done A, B, C, and D. I would like to be reinstated. For Deshaun Watson, it's probably you cannot have, obviously the penalty of not being able to have a massage therapist outside of team issued. There is an expectation that the appeal will also hand down some form of therapy for Deshaun Watson to go through. That would have to then be documented for him to, if in fact the penalty is as severe as people expect it to be, and he then has to apply for reinstatement, then that would be showing documentation that those things have also been done as well along the way. You must do those things to then apply for reinstatement. If you're suspended 10 games and it's like, hey, we need you to do, therapy and only the massage with the team. Well, 10 games go by, and now it's like, well, you don't have to do those things anymore because now you don't have to apply for reinstatement. That case is now you've served your suspension for that. Anything else is going to be on top of that, and they're not going to suspend me more games because I missed a therapy session. Right. But they might not reinstate me if I do. And that's really the teeth, if you want to call it that, from the NFL of saying, no, she said it's predatory behavior. And if it's predatory behavior, is there a way that we can have this and feel like he's being suspended, serving a punishment for the things that he is found to have done by the independent arbitrator, and then is there a way then to maybe make sure he gets help?
Right.
Just as with the drug problems, here's rehab and things like that you have to go through.
For someone who has publicly maintained that he does not have a problem of any sort.
Right.
Worth noting.
Yes. The guy who was stumbling down the sidewalk saying, I don't hear and drink. Don't know what you're talking about. So, I mean, we'll see what Roger Goodell, Roger Goodell, and but it's expected
I
to
forgot
be.
we started this segment. We had a lot of chuckles and it got really serious again in the background. I forget something.
Chuckled. It's like it's not a compliment sandwich. It's a chuckle sandwich. Some ha-has, some seriousness, and then some ha-has. And then you go to break. But it is expected.
Beards would like it if you would go to break.
Yeah, it's supposed to be expedited.
Right.
So what does expedited mean? We'll find out. Is it going to be by the third preseason game?
Less than a month. Has to be before, or even because it has to be before that Thursday night football game. They cannot be playing regular season NFL football and not have this resolved. They might, but they can't.
Now, mind you, Ezekiel Elliott appealed, or not appealed, but sued the NFL before the appeal ruling came out. So when the NFL was appealing, or while whoever was appealing in that one, while the appeal hearing was still being gathered, information, all this stuff to then hear that, they had already sued the NFL. So that took place before they even got the answer in the appeal. Because at that point, it was like, well, Roger Goodell's the one hearing the appeal. We might as well start the process to make sure we get it in the court of law. We want to, which is one of the points that's been brought up, is does this thing end up in New York or Delaware? Because Judge Sue Robinson has a lot of friends in Delaware where she has spent most of her career, and they may be more partial to side with her, having a relationship with her. Whereas the NFL really likes to work in the Southern District of New York because they've won a lot of their cases there. So if it's Deshaun Watson filing suit early, they can try to file in Delaware. Whereas the NFL might then try to get it to New York. But, we'll see. A lot of stuff going on there. We'll talk about Juan Thornhill and Danny Shelton and other things Chiefs related coming up next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Don't dab babies, okay?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Uh, 913-912-4810. Also, tweet the show at J810Anderson. Thomas says, Red Dawn is more similar to A, Top Gun, B, Point Break, C, Speed.
I haven't seen Speed. I've seen all of the other three.
And says that because apparently a tweet that came out that Red Dawn debuted in theaters today in 1984.
Oh, really?
Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, C. Thomas Howell. I believe Red Dawn is the first ever PG-13 movie.
Didn't know that.
I believe Red Dawn is the first ever PG because it was Indiana Jones.
I was going to say Temple of Doom is the one
Temple
that
of Doom
started the PG.
Is when people were like, how is this PG? And I think Red Dawn was the first one that actually was used as a PG-13 movie. Because back in the day...
Google says Red Dawn.
Okay, awesome. Because back in the day... Because Ghostbusters... I didn't realize this until like a year ago. Because I was watching Ghostbusters last Halloween, realizing and looking that it's PG, the first Ghostbusters. Now, they say the D word.
Whoa.
He is intimate with a ghost. They are miming actions that would take place in Mick's cul-de-sac on a Friday night, but with a ghost. And it's PG. And there are curse words. I'm like, how is this PG? Then I find out, because they didn't have PG-13.
I not only have I seen the first Red Dawn, which is
I have
a
not
lot
seen
of
the
fun.
second one.
I did see the remake in theaters.
Refused. I refused.
It stinks.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not every remake stinks guy. I'm not every sequel stinks. It stinks.
Top
It's
Gun
a
Maverick
waste
was
of
awesome.
time. Yeah,
Top Gun
Maverick was great.
It was awesome.
The Red Dawn remake is horrible.
Yep, I never saw it. Never will see it.
Don't worry about it. Not missing anything.
Never, ever, ever.
Not fun bad either. Just bland. Just empty calories.
Bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good.
Yeah, not even bad meaning fun or entertaining. Just bad.
Yeah. Not like Sharknado bad?
Right. I actually haven't seen Sharknado, but I presume that's the right.
Oh, I've seen the first two.
Oh, it's amazing.
Really?
Now,
Okay.
Now, the real question is, have you seen Sharktopus? Half shark, half octopus, all killer.
I didn't know if that was a character from a Bond with Sean Connery. It's Sharktopus. It's coming right at me.
I think it had Eric Roberts in it. It was like a sci-fi movie. It's terrible but amazing.
I have not seen any of the Sharknado movies. I don't believe Jason has seen Sharktopus based off his reaction to hearing the word Sharktopus.
I am hoping that Juan Thornhill is like a Sharknado.
Oh, wow. That segue is so good that I'm putting my squirrel notes away. I'm not going to let you forget that I have squirrel information. I have information that could lead to the arrest of your squirrels in the backyard. That can be this Thornhill audio is interesting. I just want to, I'm going to keep reminding you, I do have squirrel content for you at some point before 2 o'clock today.
Awesome. Okay. We will get to that.
I'm good with it.
Believe me.
Would love to hear from Juan Thornhill also.
I am going to figure out, there have been a lot of suggestions that include firing a weapon in a neighborhood, which I don't want to do.
Yeah, not ideal,
But a
I
number
would
of those
say.
things.
I have some bullet-free options for you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Juan Thornhill can move like a bullet from time. I mean, I just got to
There
stop with it. Let's just get into the
go.
Chiefs.
Let's
They are
sound
off
good.
today, but Juan Thornhill talked a couple days ago, and he weighs in on the health and how he's feeling right now going into year number 4 for Juan Thornhill.
I feel better today than I did 2 months ago. So like I'm still like just getting better and better each and every week, and I can definitely say it's a huge difference. Like last year, I was still thinking about it. I still had pain in the knee, and now I'm just out there playing football with no pain, not even thinking about it. So that allows me to make more plays. If I'm reading concepts instead of thinking about my knee, I'm going to make more plays naturally. So I feel a lot better for sure.
It's really disappointing because injuries in any sport suck. Mm-hmm. Like I've said, I just simply want to see the best teams injury-free out on the field and see who the best teams are on that day, right? I don't want it to be to where, well, this team lost their best player right before this game, and boy, what a huge difference he would have made. Injuries happen. I know that. It's attrition. They all suck. I would not have guessed, and I would have been floored if you told me that when Juan Thornhill was laying on the field against the Chargers in the last game of the season in 2019, that in 2022 of August is when you would go, he's now feeling fully healthy again.
And this, I have weirdly vivid memories at every step of this, partially because last year I was at training camp for that first day of rookies and the injured veterans, and Thornhill talked. And he played in 16 games in 2020.
Yeah,
so
the next year.
The next season, and he didn't start a bunch of those games. There's kind of the thought of where is his knee at? But he said he felt pretty good. He was out there. He looked pretty good, but a little slower.
But also, there was the reports that came out later in the year that he did come back too early, and that's why his playing time decreased because the knee was not responding throughout the course of a season.
And then last year, he gets out there at camp, and all the questions are, hey, those what you just mentioned were all issues last year. How do you feel now? And he says, I feel great. I'm good. I'm ready to go. Leadership role out here with the rookies, all of that. And then this weekend, I think, is when you probably got the most honest answer from Juan Thornhill. When you're not thinking about the pain in your knee, you're reading everything in front of you, you are just making plays. He said he feels better now than he did, 2 months ago, as he said there? I think he's at a place now where in 2020, he was playing through it. And in 2021, he was, in 2020, he was playing in spite of it. In 2021, he was playing through it. Maybe in 2022, we're actually seeing healthy Juan Thornhill, mentally and physically, for the first time since the end of his rookie year.
Because I think you could, the way you described it is a good one. So 2020, he was playing in spite of it, and 2021 playing through it, but with the injury in the back of his mind.
Right. That is a long process for a variety of levels.
And so this year, hopefully that's the case. He said he's going to have an all-pro year. He was asked, why is this going to be a career year for you?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I feel like the past year I just wasn't as confident in my ability because of the fact that I was struggling with the knee. So I would say that the knee is healthier. I have more mental clarity. I feel better all around. I just feel like that I'm back to myself and I'm capable of having that all-pro season. So I'm definitely here to back up whatever I said, and I'm not taking that back.
It just, I mean, again, it just, looking back at the time when leading into that 2019 season, and it was, this is a guy that it's going to be the best, could be one of the best safety tandems in football with Thornhill and Tyrann Mathieu. I remember Louis Riddick tweeting that out in training camp, that Juan Thornhill is a player, and you add him in with Tyrann Mathieu, that Mathieu and Thornhill is going to be one of the better safety tandems in the NFL. And it was pretty awesome throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I just would not have, in today's advancements in medicine and ACLs and things like that. I mean, Cam Akers came back from an Achilles as soon as he did. That just and I'm using this in today's standards, which, 30 years ago it would have been blasphemous. Your run-of-the-mill ACL.
Right.
Right. 30 years ago, career ender. This one, you're out 10 months. Get back out there, guy. Walk it off, after the surgery. Your run-of-the-mill ACL. And I do wonder if, going back to 2020, if they would have just said, we'll see you halfway through. We'll put you on the PUP list. We'll see you in week 10 or 11 or 12.
Hard to do on a run-it-back campaign.
Absolutely.
I mean...
And not... He's good to go. It's Juan Thornhill. He's good. He's healthy. Let's put him out there. He says he's healthy. Let's go. If he would have known what the next 2 years would be like, trying to maybe save or get out there 10 weeks earlier in football, I doubt he would have made the same decision, would have taken it slower, because the beginning of the season and then towards the end when it was like, the knee is not holding up through the rigors of the course of the season, and he probably pushed it a little bit too much to come back. And that is an entire season to where you're not rehabbing and you're putting more wear and tear and stress on that knee, as opposed to just simply saying you're fully healthy and ready to go. But you're right. The Run It Back tour, I want to get out. I didn't get to play in the playoffs in the Super Bowl.
No kidding.
I need to go out and play.
That would have been really hard.
Understandable.
There is one word in that second clip there that if it was a little different, it would totally change the meaning. But I like that what he said. That he was not as confident, not in his knee, but because of his knee.
Yeah.
Which I think is another step of, hey, I don't know that I can go make that play because I'm not moving like I was in 2019. They're all of a sudden, and that's something that I think you'd get if veterans were more honest as their careers go on, as they wear down a little bit, where you would say, yeah, no, my mental confidence in my abilities had to decline with my physical abilities because I'm seeing myself on tape. I'm not getting where I used to be.
Yeah.
The gift for Thornhill here is that entering his age 27 season, he'll turn 27 in a couple months, it looks like. In his age 27 season, he might legitimately be in the best place physically that he's been at least since his rookie year, and mentally, absolutely the best place he's been in his NFL career. Being an All-Pro as a safety when there's another guy across from you who's a bigger name right now, Justin Reed's a bigger name, I think, nationally by a little bit, that's hard. But his standard of play could dictate that he belongs there.
But you also look in the mirror and know the Chiefs drafted a safety in the second round because you're a free agent.
Yeah.
This is your contract
True.
year. Justin Reed's got multiple years. You have your last year, and they just took a safety in the second round.
If they let Juan Thornhill walk, I'm gonna be pretty bummed, I think. I honestly hadn't even given it much thought.
If Brian Cook goes out there and balls out, and you're like, are you going to – and let's say they both go out there and have awesome seasons.
Sure.
And then you're saying, well, this guy's going to be getting, Poyer or Jesse Bates, probably not that money, but he's going to get a pretty substantial raise than what he's getting now. Or you slide in second-round safety at second-round salary cap money, and you don't pay for Juan Thornhill. So we'll see what happens coming up this year. Mick Schaefer comes up at 1 o'clock. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Nice job, Josh.
Nice job, Dylan.
Nice job, Christopher. Way to go, Beards.
Thank you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Text says, I think the Clarks are best friends with Commissioner Goodell.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They'll hang out.
Another text comes in. We were talking about Top Gun and the different movies that are just like Top Gun if you take everything away from Top Gun. It says there was an old movie called Iron Eagle, which was a knockoff of Top Gun. I loved Iron Eagle.
He's one of my favorite play-by-play guys, too.
He's pretty good.
Thank you.
No, I mean, he's pretty good. I didn't say that was pretty good. I said Iron Eagle's pretty good.
I heard what I wanted to hear.
Do you think he was named after Iron Eagle?
I think he was, yeah.
Mr. Eagle. Another tweet came in as well that said that showed a picture of a kangaroo. It said, "Look at the size of that rat."
You ever seen a capybara? Big rat.
Never heard of it, man.
Never heard of a capybara?
No. Heard of Mick Schaefer. He's next.
WHB's 100-year celebration.
WHB Kansas City. You're in the zone.
Non-stop. Right hand, left hand, non-stop, Josh.
With Jason Anderson.
At the time, it is the only thing I want to do.
Yeah.
The next day, I 100% regret it every time.
Yeah.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Wednesday, Hump Day edition of the show. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us for the final hour. He is brought to you by Kona Big Wave. Take a little break. Single task tonight with a Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing Company. Hi, Mick.
Single task. The crap out of tonight.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to take your word for it that it's going to be great.
I'm going to be multitasking tomorrow, fellas. That's the whole...
Yeah, I'm going to be...
Is it 100 years? Is that right?
100 years
Okay, 'cause I
of
was thinking
Sports
of-
Radio 810. A lot of people think it started in the late 90s. No.
Because I was doing the math, because Sports Radio 10, I think, came around in 98.
We had our 20-year party a couple years ago.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's weird to have like
It was 2019.
a 24-year anniversary. That's kind of odd. But it's WHB, which has been around
For 100
eons.
years,
Yes.
as of tomorrow, apparently.
It existed before Marconi discovered
Isn't
the
it odd?
radio
Yeah, absolutely.
waves. Yeah, we're like, hey, we figured this out forever ago in Kansas City.
It's like...
Spanish guy or
The
was he,
world's-
Italian guy, probably. Yeah,
We're the
Italian
world's
guy.
happiest broadcasters. Just because you found it over in that country doesn't mean that we didn't already have it over here. This is American exceptionalism. We're we got 50,000 watts of that tower over there. All right, we know what we're doing. Yeah, oddly enough, invented before the radio was WHB.
Amazing.
So,
I didn't
Who'd have
know.
thought?
I didn't know that a Marconi was based on the name of the
welcome to radio, guy.
the
Seriously?
inventor of electrical engineering. I also didn't know that his full name is Guglielmo Giovanni Maria Marconi, which is yes, of
Exactly
course,
right.
very Italian. That is like Picasso levels
Exactly
of
right.
Italian.
Yeah. Here's the thing with getting a broadcasting degree
You learn stuff like that.
is that you don't need it to be in
Oh.
broadcasting. Because the advice I give to people all the time that are like, what would you give advice for kids that want to go into broadcasting? Well, it depends. Is it TV? Then yeah, that's a little bit different maybe than, say, sports radio. I would get a different degree than broadcasting if I'm going into, say, sports radio or even play-by-play, because depending on the university you go to, there can be an actual course that you take which could allow you to work at the radio station or things like
Sure.
that, to where it's just a course that you don't have to be in that major, whereas broadcasting major is going to teach you about Marconi and how to counter coral wires, which, don't really care. I'm just going to wrap them around my arm and throw them in the thing there and call it a day. Don't really need to know all of those things. Communication law, I think, matters. You probably need to know some things that you're going to be saying on the air of whether or not you're going to get sued or kicked off or fired. Those things certainly.
Because you radio guys are always worried about that.
Yeah.
Never cross the line there.
Well, only when we're asking Andy Reid a question.
Did you ever learn that Marconi was a fascist?
Well, I mean, he was from Italy, right?
No, I didn't.
Joined the National Fascist Party in 1923. I'm learning a lot on his Wikipedia page right now.
Don't think we studied that.
Cancel radio.
Introduction.
Cancel
all of it. Nope, radio's got to go.
Intro
Gotta
to
go.
broadcasting. Didn't realize that. Yeah, don't just get a regular broadcasting. Now, if it's journalism, TV side of it, because I do think there's a lot more that goes into TV rather than just opening up the microphone and going, "All right, let's get at it, guys."
I learned how
let's talk.
to splice together audio tape, where I'd take a chalk line and cut it, or
Yeah.
and cut where the chalk line is, and then tape it together.
Oh yeah, the reel to reel. We had to do that
And
as well.
I
which
can't
I
tell
don't
you
know
how
why.
many times I've done that in the real world since.
I'm
no, I can't. It's zero.
Yeah, zero. I'm convinced that the only reason we were taught to do that is because the professors were pissed about the fact that they had to do that, and we had at that time mini discs, that we were just cutting I can mark right there a mini disc at that time. They were mad about the mini discs and even the CDs and things like that, to where it was, no, you're going to splice reel to reel, because I had to do it, damn it. And these MP3s and things like that, no. That's not how it's supposed to be done. This cool edit in your easy computer.
Go be like an engineering major in business. and then take your broadcasting class on the side. Have a fallback plan of engineering if radio doesn't pan out.
I might get
Which it usually does for everybody.
I might get maybe a minor in broadcasting, like if a minor was available, but I certainly wouldn't go major broadcasting, minor in coaching.
Yeah, what kind of idiot?
Unless you're just simply saying, I just want the degree so I can say that I graduated college. Like, how do I do that?
Major in broadcasting, minor in teaching. Just assure myself that I'm not going to make any money.
No, I minored in coaching. I might be a head coach one day at like an SEC school and make like $4 million. It's a lucrative profession. And the one thing about it, stability.
What do you think?
Stability in coaching.
When do you think you might use that first? Are you going to be? Do you think you might be like a coach of a kids team? Are you wired for that?
Kids teams.
You do currently?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even go to school for it.
I minored in it. Yeah, I've got a minor in it.
That's why.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have a minor in coaching. That was my major broadcasting minor coaching. Yes. No, I'm
you're
joking.
making fun of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. It's like I certainly wouldn't do that and just completely waste the money that I spent in college.
Coaching is a minor?
It is
at
at Northwest. Yeah. Mel Churchman taught the theories of coaching football. I got to and there were a lot of football players in there, which you develop relationships with. Then you can talk to them and report on them and have the interesting breaking news.
Everything's a
on
hustle
Northwest
for this
football.
guy. Mick, if you say anything between commercial breaks,
I know this.
I just want to make sure you're
I've known
aware.
Far too many radio guys in my life.
Everything's
I
content.
did
No
not
kidding.
know that.
No, fair
Everything's content. Unless it is presented as, hey guys, this isn't for air.
And then still half of that is content.
Corey's in Utah now.
That's the half.
That was the half. Corey is in Utah now. I typically respect the, hey, this isn't for air conversation. I respect the, this is off the record, and grant the off the record.
I think you just have to bookend it with Jason. I think you have to be like, hey, look, off the record, then you say your thing, and then at the end you say, again, just a reminder, not for air. 'Cause that way he hears it twice, so hopefully he hears it once.
Yeah, the hearing it twice is a good point, because sometimes I'll hear it at the beginning, then hear what you said, and then be like, ooh, that's good. I need to bring that up in the next segment.
And
wait, that was off the air.
sometimes what I'll do is I'll tell Jason twice. So I'll be like, hey, this is off the air, and then I'll say the thing, and then afterwards I'll be like, and again, just as a reminder, not for radio.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's a not for air sandwich. Yeah. It's great. Mick Schaefer is hanging out with us. Mick, you enjoying the kids as much as everybody else is that
Not
are wearing?
yours.
Well, I know you aren't enjoying your kids.
Where's he going with this one?
The kids wearing Royals uniforms out there playing baseball.
The kids are all right. Good movie. We tweeted it yesterday.
You tweeted the whole movie out?
No.
Is it like Top Gun?
The kids are all right.
Is the kids all right? Is that movie like Top Gun?
I really feel like I've gotten more bleep than I deserved on this one.
It's because your assessment that Red Dawn or that Point Break was like Top Gun, only without the
planes and Tom Cruise and
Tom Cruise
and add surfing
and it's surfing
the plot
and also bank robbing.
Yeah.
I
I was trying to explain it to Beards with a movie that he's seen. I am the
seen
one at
one
this
movie
point
ever
from that era. Probably. I am the one now in this relationship that has seen all the 80s and 90s movies. Apparently,
but he said he hadn't seen Top Gun. You're explaining something to a movie that he's like seen bits of, so he wouldn't even know. Like what's I mean,
I was trying to get a vibe check. I think Top Gun and Point Break have similar vibes. Is that not a little bit reasonable?
Very masculine kind of play to the machismo.
With a little underlying homoeroticism.
Well, you have a love story in there.
Yep. One has sand volleyball, the other has sand football.
See,
beach
exactly.
football.
And then both the antagonist and protagonist in both are just heartthrobs, right?
They have to be.
Keanu,
Have
Patrick,
to be.
Absolutely.
Iceman and Maverick. Yeah.
Iceman is
code names. They both have code names.
Iceman is an AH. Swayze's a convict. I mean, he's just.
You can't side with him, but you kind of do.
Yeah. He just simply robs banks.
I totally
That's what he does.
With Iceman. Is that
he's a criminal?
Was I not supposed to root for Iceman?
He's a criminal.
I did.
I loved Iceman. Okay. He was, he was. Maverick was too dangerous. Okay.
Yes.
You got your life and other people's lives.
Loose cannon.
In your hands up there. Even though that was Iceman's jet wash that he flew into.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been that close.
Yeah.
He was too close to the jet wash. That's the problem. He was going too close. Now, Iceman is going to be like they call Maverick. Because
makes sense.
But maybe
I'm with you so far.
But if Ice would have peeled off sooner,
which he needed
then it would have been Maverick being able to get in there and get the kill. But ice.
Anyway, Red Dawn 2 was atrocious. They made Thor and the dumpy kid from Drake and Josh, who has gotten in better shape. Good for him.
And PETA from the Hunger Games.
Yes. But no, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Thor and the dumpy kid from Drake and Josh, who I believe was Josh. No offense, Josh.
I get it.
They're brothers in the movie. Are you dry shaving me? Give me a break. They're brothers? Come on, Hollywood. I'm supposed to believe that. Thor has.
They could have been adopted.
They weren't.
They weren't.
They were both Eckerts. He has
related.
2 other acting brothers that are actually his brothers. You could have played that part. Get another damn Hemsworth. Liam would have been just fine.
I mean, Danny DeVito and
that ruined
Arnold Schwarzenegger were twins.
I was going to say, if you're just going 80s action movies, with me, you go Schwarzenegger movies.
By the way, this text comes in, which is great. It says, Top Gun and Point Break both did have a dead man parachute scene, so there's that.
Oh, wow.
That's a great
Good
point.
call.
That's a really
Thank
good call.
you.
That's it's like Top Gun. Point Break's like Top Gun in that there's a man who dies while parachuting, or in a parachute.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry, Goose.
But Red Dawn is in my top 5 of all time, and then that almost ruined it. Red Dawn 2.
I refuse to watch it. Just refuse to watch it.
I wanted, because that happened in Wyoming, but I was at a similar kind of small town in Caldwell. I wanted the Russians to invade Caldwell so bad. I so wanted that to
because you
happen.
think you would have been part of the Wolverines.
I absolutely thought
you would
I
have
was
been
gonna be part of
inside
that.
the fence. You would have been absolutely inside.
I know that.
Avenge me! Avenge me! That would have been you.
I would have been the plant that they sent with the tracker on him, or the one they would have had to sacrifice.
That's right. Yeah.
You know that now, but you didn't know that when you were 16.
I thought I was going to go crazy like C. Thomas Howell and just go mental.
I would have absolutely been inside the fence. Guys, please get it done, okay?
How far are you making it into a zombie movie right
we're
now?
all relying on you.
Red Dawn almost ruined Dirty Dancing because Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey dated on the set of Red Dawn and had a bad breakup.
Oh, no.
And then when they got Swayze to do Dirty Dancing, they're like, okay, we found a girl. It's Jennifer Grey's like, nope, I'm not doing it. Anybody else? Give me anybody else. But they were so in love with Jennifer Grey, they finally convinced him to do it because Patrick Swayze is a rock star of an actor and human being.
Which brought about one of the more famous lines in movies, nobody puts Russians in the corner.
Movie mash.
That's exactly
Done.
right.
But
So,
anyway,
are you liking the
yes, I
Royals?
love the Royals. We had so much fun with the highlights yesterday because it was Vinny P and Nikki P.
Oh, I mean,
and I said the dinger wears Prado.
Whose line was that?
So Nick Jacobs said, you should say the first baseman wears Prado. I'm like, that's really good. I love the track you're on. I just a little wordy.
Yeah.
And so when he hit the homer, I'm like, instead of the dinger wears Prado.
Love it.
So good.
Absolutely love it.
And I usually don't repeat highlights or words to the 10 o'clock, but I had to repeat that one.
Good.
Brady
You should.
Singer, who's still a young guy. We'll call him youngster still.
Yeah.
It's been great. And then Massey's got a hit like every game, right? He's played except for one or something like that. Pasquantino again in the nightcap. They lose, but it's fun. It's just fun to watch these guys when they're young, and in a year we'll hate them because they're older and they're still the Royals and they're still going to be 20 games out of 500.
Since the trade
I
deadline.
can see the future.
Since the trade deadline, those 5 players, Bobby Witt, MJ, Pasquantino, Prado, Massey, the OPS since the trade deadline, now mind you, that's 7 games. Small sample size.
And this is 2 stats.
It's the
Put
OPS.
together.
On base plus smashing. 655, 728, 904, 940, 996. Oddly enough, Bobby Witt is the 655.
Wow.
Michael Massey, because he's not mashing,
Power hitter.
he's getting on base at 357, but
Michael
a 370.
I was waiting until he was done. I didn't want to cut him off, and you had less decorum than I did.
You got to learn
Massey.
to cut this guy off, otherwise it's
Michael
going to be
Massey.
like 203.
It's Michael Massey. And then, let's see, Prado's OPSing at 904, MJ 940, and Pasquantino, since the trade deadline, is OPSing at 996. I bring up the trade deadline because that's when all the guys were sort of, Massey is called up, and it was, now this is the turning of the page of the Toronto series was kind of a prequel. Trade deadline has passed. I know it was only Benintendi, Rivera, Whit Merrifield on the trade deadline day, Santana before, but you're talking about a guy who played first base, third base, second base, and left field that were traded over the last month or so, from Santana to Benintendi to Rivera to Whit Merrifield, to then exchanging those guys with younger guys and rookies, and now you're seeing a lineup with 5, 6 rookies in there. And these 5, especially Whit, MJ, Pasquantino, and Prado, because at the beginning of the year, those were the 4 names people talked about a lot. Will we see them this year? Bobby Witt should start the season with the Royals. MJ Melendez can't be far behind. Pasquantino finished the season just mashing. Nick Prado turned his entire career around in the 2021 baseball season and maybe 2020 at the alternate site, because 2019 was a disaster for him. He was a mess in the minors, and now Prado is a legit hitting prospect with a gold glove at first base. And hey, you know what? Michael Massey, if he keeps being Michael Massey, he also won a gold glove at second. When you're looking at what those guys have done since the trade deadline, in these 7 games, 8 home runs, 25 RBIs, 4 doubles, 17 runs scored, 9 walks, 4 stolen bases, and 22 strikeouts. But 9 walks, 22 strikeouts. In 7 games with 5 players, only 22 Ks in today's day and age, adding in the 9 walks, I mean, it's been a blast watching them play. Like, I'm watching. Now, if I'm behind and fast-forwarding and trying to catch up, I'll watch them and then fast-forward through Dozier and Michael A. Taylor's at-bats, and then go back to watching the younger guys, too. Because, honestly, I know wins and losses matter to a degree, but right now I'm just watching to see what the guys can do. Like, what do they look like at the big leagues? And then, of course, winning games is going to matter at some point, and maybe that's the last part, mid-August or late August into the end of September. All right, what are they doing in terms of winning games, rather than now that they're not so, like, starstruck in the eyes, like, oh my God, there's a third deck. And eventually the feeling of driving to the ballpark every day is going to wear off and it's going to become a job. And then what happens then? When it's not just this fun energy of these young guys hanging out together.
You're not busting it down the line to first base every
in 2
ground
years.
ball.
In 2 years, I wonder if Nate Eaton is at third on the dropped pop-up to center. I wonder if he's at second, but not sprinting on the on the pop-up to where they drop it and he's already at second and just turns and ends up at third. With, by the way, a play at third. The ball got there right after him. He's at second, or maybe he's running back to first, in 2 or 3 years. But the younger guy, it's triple. Ends up being a hustle play. And you're like, see, that's why we like these young guys. These other guys aren't doing that. Well, yeah, because it's turned out to be a job. And when it turns out to be a job, now it's your talent. Now it's how good are you, not just this is awesome and fun and everybody's having a good time playing baseball, so you're going to play a little bit more loose and you're going to have a little bit more fun and you might play a little bit better. And they're 4-3 in those very small samples of 7 games.
Well, you get security too, right? You're right now, Nate Eaton's battling for a job. Even Prado is, and all those guys, even Pasquantino. Once you get that security of like, okay, I don't have to bust it down the line. In fact, the last 99 times I did it, I was still out. Okay, I'm not going to do it this time. Oh, it's the 100th time. Should have done it, but no. I mean, I'm gonna enjoy the moment now of all these guys. It's so much fun seeing them up of names you've seen just really on like Twitter highlight clips the last couple of years from the Storm Chasers putting out, Pasquantino 3 for 4. Here's his 2 doubles and a home run. And now you're seeing them at the big league level, and they're having their struggles, but they're also having their successes, and they're looking more and more like big leaguers. And that first game yesterday was a blast. You get 2 home runs from Vinny P and Nicky P, and then Singer pitches his butt off, and you're like, okay, the future could be closer than you think. And no, it's a good move by the Royals. They've actually been very transactional. I think it was August 4th. Granted, the trade deadline just hit. But by August 4th, I counted, they've made 17 moves. And in July, they made, just dozens upon dozens. And so they're well,
that's where I looked at it at the trade deadline, and I know there was a lot of different ways to view it of, did they do enough? And I think there was actually a yes and a no to that. Like, did they do enough on that specific day? My answer was no, on that specific day. But did they do enough in terms of the season? Because if on that day if they would have traded Santana, Benintendi, the 35th pick, Emmanuel Rivera, Cam
Merrifield.
Gallagher, Whit Merrifield on that day, would have been like, holy bleep, fire sale for the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, you look from July and you throw in the draft and just how different the organization is now with this influx of new players and a lot of the old guard out. Yeah, I mean, just that month span, they did a lot.
And it's an acknowledgement, too, by trading Whit Merrifield, whether it was the comments that he made or not. JJ said it had nothing to do with it, but whether it was comments he made or not, trading Whit Merrifield is an absolute turning of the page from this group of Royals players that they felt like were so close to competing, and Whit was going to be part of that leadership of that group that's going to be competing for a division championship, to now, that's over. That's over. That run, those players, now this is the next group of players, next go of it, to try to see if the Royals can get something going here. You mentioned Brady Singer. Before we break, I brought this up with Monty in the 11 o'clock hour, and then some of the names. So since July, Brady Singer has had 7 starts. So most everybody, starters in baseball, have had 7 starts. A few of them have had 8. So looking at all starting pitchers since July 1st, Brady Singer is 9th in baseball in strikeouts. Here are the names that are in front of him: Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Spencer Strider, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Corbin Burns, Shohei Ohtani, Carlos Rodon, Brady Singer.
I don't watch a lot of baseball anymore. Are they good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I've heard of all of them.
He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball since July 1st. He's got a 2.45 ERA, which out of those pitchers in front of him is the 3rd lowest. Of those pitchers that are in front of him with strikeouts, is the 3rd lowest. Max Scherzer's got a 1.37 because he's Max Scherzer. Blake Snell's got a 2.41. Brady Singer's got a 2.45 in that time. And he's 9th in strikeouts. I don't know if he's going to be like an ace, like a real, like when you say there's a handful of aces. But I think what we're seeing from him, there's a potential of being a second-tier ace. Behind the 5-6 players, and maybe even less than that you can say, this is an actual ace, a Jacob deGrom, a Max Scherzer, actual ace in baseball. And then a next group of guys that are like, 10 to 20 players that are there, I think he could absolutely, what we've seen, if he's this consistent in doing these things, I think he can absolutely be in the top 20, 25 pitchers, starting pitchers in baseball.
What were we saying 3 months ago in May? Maybe a
throw
bullpen guy.
That
Throw
he
a
might not
freaking
come back
changeup.
from
Maybe
Omaha.
a bullpen guy.
Maybe he can be a guy that 8th or
At this
9th
point,
sinker slider guy, and give him max effort, and he could be dominant in that inning or two. And credit the Royals for not giving up and continuing to throw him out there, and credit the Royals for sending him down. And whether it was anywhere near reality with Dayton Moore saying, you may never get a call back up, you're not guaranteed to ever be back in the big leagues as we're sending you down, or if that was the first time there was tough love, because he clearly worked on a changeup down there. Whatever went on, it's worked now. And he's, 15 starts, he had 37, so 52 starts into his career now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Well, look, it's either a miraculous turnaround or we just need to be more patient with our comments. So it's probably a miraculous
turnaround. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we got to do this. Every day the mics come on at 10.
There
We got
are
to say
5
something.
days in between starts.
You know what to do in the meantime.
That's 20 hours of radio.
You want to talk about the Chiefs? Are you kidding me?
It takes me 20 seconds to record the changeups, the sinkers, and the sliders that Brady Singer threw in that game to keep track on my spreadsheet. 20 seconds. I've got another 19 hours and 40 seconds to fill after that, all right?
Well, you would have 19 hours, 59 minutes, 40 seconds.
Yep, thank you.
He's a very slow typer.
I type, I jab at
My
it.
20 seconds takes an hour.
I jab.
I hope you have better timing for next segment.
Wouldn't mark that there, Beards. We'll take a time. My 20 seconds takes an hour. You
Be
wish.
the opposite.
You wish. We'll take a time out and we'll explain whatever this next.
Are we shot clocking it next?
We're shot clocking it, baby.
I guess we are shot clocking it, whatever that means. We'll explain, and I will also learn along with everybody else on the other side of the break. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
The more dead puppies there are in the world, the more that's going to dilute the cuteness of the puppies that we have right now. Less puppies means more cute, okay? They said it in Incredibles.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so shot clock
reviews.
Shot clock reviews. Okay, so here's the thing. There isn't the audio that we can find of Vin Scully saying hot shot hit foul, in which he said he did not say hot shot hit foul.
Correct.
He got those things mixed up. So I'm worried about the shot clock review.
There are a couple of landmines in it, but we navigated it for a while in AES.
I worry about saying schlot.
Then what?
Then what was it, the second one?
Clock.
Yeah, that's the right word, though.
Yeah.
So that's not that big a deal.
Preview.
Okay.
That's where
see. That would be so embarrassing.
It's the preview that gets me every time. All right, so what are we doing here?
So this is Shot Clock Reviews. This is a bit that has made the, I would say, has really risen to a new level, unless it gets killed again today. From the ashes of almost entirely sports, now making its debut here on The Zone.
Oh, I didn't know that. Let's take a time out. Let's figure out something else. Thrift store prices right coming up.
Whoa, hey, Beard, still good news. Jason took a break before the 45-minute mark, so it's still win-win.
It's a win.
Before
Beards
the
is like
52-minute mark. What are you kidding?
Either we do this and have fun, or we take a break early. I'm good either way.
Beards literally could not care less either way. These are all winners for him. But so it's you get a 24-second NBA shot clock. I'll throw it to you. You'll hear the clicking start, and you need to announce what your topic is. You get your review, and at the end, you must give a score out of a scale of 1 to 10. I guess 0 to 10.
We give our own score?
Yeah, you are
give your own
rating
score.
it for yourself. Beards and I will each go first, so you guys get a rep to kind of
I'm a
hear
10.
hear how this
All right.
works.
No,
Also,
I'm
just really
2
quickly,
tens.
just
review of
a
the
slight change of what you said, Josh. I'll let you say what it is, then I'll start the shot clock.
Okay, excellent.
So my broadcasting strategy has typically been the Bud Lathrop shot clock of basketball.
Yeah.
In that
There's no shot clock.
I've just taken a 10-6 lead in the second quarter, and I will not shoot again this game.
Yeah, totally a coincidence that we decided that one of the best bits to bring over from AES to here would be the one that would put you on a timer. Totally coincidental, not at all a part of the reason we thought this bit would be good for you. Did not come up before.
I already don't like it. All right, let's see how it goes.
Beards, I would love to talk about the film Bullet Train. We got to see Bullet Train because 810 had an event over at B&B Theaters. Went and saw it. I did not know what to expect going in. I was enticed by the trailer. The movie actually got going. The reviews were not very good. I had my expectations drop. Folks, Bullet Train is like if Wes Anderson did a mountain of cocaine, watched Murder on the Orient Express on one screen and Deadpool on another, then lived on a liquid diet of sugar-free Red Bull for the duration of production. That is a compliment. This movie rules. It's a 7.5 out of 10.
The movie or
The movie
your take?
or your take?
My take's a 10 out of 10. The movie is a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You're giving your review of something, giving the score of what you reviewed.
giving the review of just something, but it doesn't have to be a movie.
I feel like we should give him the score,
I
not
know.
himself.
I see. I
so
thought we
you
were.
can review the thing.
I see.
This is
I thought
because-
we were reviewing the take.
No, you're reviewing a topic of something.
Okay.
Of some. Usually it's content, but during AES, I did one that was reviewing watching the Suns lose in the finals. So that for me was like a 2 out of 10 experience.
I see.
You guys will probably get it. If we could just get one more example, Beards.
I am going to talk. Oh, hang on. I already.
Oh,
got it.
come on, man.
I give that a
This
1 out
happens
of 10,
sometimes.
Beards. 1
So,
out of 10.
I'm going to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. It's an animated Star Trek show that's on Paramount Plus.
Perfect.
It's a comedy. It's instead of focusing on the senior staff like most Star Trek is, it's more focused on the grunts, where they're having to experience everything secondhand. It's really funny. It's a little too self-referential for my liking sometimes, but it's still good. It looks good for an animated show, and you know what? I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good time.
Okay. It's a good time.
So what's a good time? The show?
The show.
The show's a
Yes,
good time.
the show is a good time.
This was-
You're reviewing something in 24 seconds.
Anything, though.
Yes,
right?
sure.
Doesn't have to be a movie or a show.
Anything you want.
Because so far it's been a movie and a
That's
show.
exactly
Well,
right,
yeah, so the thing is that we've only gotten through 2 of them, kind of because you guys have been really hung up on the concept of doing a review of something.
In
And Nick
24
especially, I know that it's really tough for you to have to kind of accomplish your thing in a very short period of time.
Right, yeah.
I know this is new for you, but I think you'll be able to pull it off.
I get
Well, he just said
6
20 seconds is like an hour for him.
Yeah, I get 6 stories in, I think, in 24 seconds.
Let's see if you can get one in.
Is it my turn?
What's your review? You say the name of the thing, Beard, just hit the clock, and it's party time.
All right, I'm reviewing Texas getting a #1 vote in the coaches poll. Go. Texas got a #1 vote in the coaches poll as the 18th ranked team in the country, okay? How long are we going to do this exercise, okay? Because do you know of the top 25 winningest teams in the last 10 years? Do you know where Texas ranks? Do you know where Texas ranks in that top 25?
#1?
No. What's your guess?
15th.
51st!
What's your score out of 10?
They rank 51st in wins in the last 10 years.
Needs to be between
Can
1
we
and 0.
can we go to the video and review to see if that was after the shot clock? Did he get the shot off?
I'd release.
He released. The ball was in the air. The ball was in the air.
51st before.
It was like a half-court shot if the ball was in the air a long time.
Okay, very good.
I think you hit it though. I do need to know what you would give on a scale of 1 to 10.
So what am I?
Texas getting a first place vote.
Oh, that's a 1.
There you go.
That's a 1.
So 1
But
out
see,
of 10.
I enjoyed the commentary, a 10 out of 10 from Mick.
But
we can do shot clock reviews as a podcast exclusive, but we're doing shot clock reviews of a thing.
Although I kind of do like them winning every offseason to where when the regular season comes and they lose, it's just so much fun.
That one's
just last.
That's a
lapping-
violation. That's the other team's
That'd
ball
be a
now,
9
actually.
out of 10 there.
But as an aside, you are right. It is amazing that the #1, #2, #3, and #18 teams receive first place votes in the coaches
just the
poll.
power-
And don't get me wrong, 18 is overrating them too. They were 5 and 7 last year. If you give Texas all this love, please give Air Force the same amount because they have the exact same amount of wins as Texas in the last 10 years.
Is Air Force back? 'Cause I haven't heard that Air Force is back.
Is Mizzou back? Because they have 1 less win than Texas the last 10 years.
I hope they're back. That'd be nice if they were back. By the way, Wake Forest ranked 19th in the poll that came out, yesterday, the day before. They have now lost their stud quarterback,
Sam Hartman,
to a non-COVID related illness that he will be out for some time, for a while.
It's a tough energy to bring to this fun segment, but I understand.
Well done,
Had to
Jason.
happen.
Well, I'm just saying we're going through this, and Wake Forest is 19th. Like, you don't see Wake Forest number 19 in the country in preseason poll, and you won't see them there very long if Hartman's not going to play this year. So there you go.
Is that your shot clock review, or do you have another fun topic?
That was it. I give it an 8.
Okay, well, we've got to play the imaging, so you get to go again, I guess.
I gave my review an 8.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd really like to talk about episode #1 of Hard Knocks last night.
Okay, perfect.
So if you haven't seen it, sorry, there's spoiler alerts. Turns out it's football. It's a training camp football with the Detroit Lions. I actually came away from episode 1, and I'm finding myself more and more liking Dan Campbell. I thought I would just make fun of him and only make fun of him because of how funny and crazy he is and the things that he says at the press conferences. But I'm really liking him because he does come across as really genuine. And I love that Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn hate each other on the field, and all they do is scream and yell at each other and talk trash. He's the defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. Deuce Staley is on the offensive side, and every single play they're yelling at the other guy, and it was really good. I gave it a 3 out of 10. No, joke. 8 out of 10 for episode #1. 8
That
out
was
of
a
10.
turnover a long time ago.
I released the ball.
Yeah, shocker.
I released the ball.
Jason went long.
It was 3/4 of a court shot.
You did like 1985 college basketball when the shot clock was 45 seconds.
I told you I am from the radio school of Bud Lathrop. A shot clock does not exist in my mind.
Think of this as an exercise just as much as it's a bit. You know,
I don't
it's
like
an exercise
exercising.
in brevity, and also you get to talk as fast as you want. Nobody can yell at you for it, which is another part of it that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about one more thing. In
Oh,
this
we're doing
segment.
another one?
Everybody gets 2. Everybody's got 2.
Oh, can I
Everybody's
talk
got
about
2?
what I expect from episode 2 of Hard Knocks then?
If that's that's between
Love
you and
your
Dan
range.
Campbell.
Love your range.
Yeah, really showing off here, Jason.
I should have saved my second one for Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley's arguing on Hard
That
Knocks.
would have. Yeah, you could have. You've probably read a book or listened to a song or watched a movie or experienced something. You've had your kid at work the last couple days. You could review bringing your child to work days. You know, whatever. You have your entire life to draw from.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
In the meantime, I'd like to review my experience with houseplants. I recently became a plant guy. It kind of happened against my will a little bit, at least by surprise. I had a cactus for a really long time, and then I got a couple other ones as gifts. And now I'm at a point where I am fully, like, I have an app that tells me what days to be watering my plants based on the type of pot they're in, the type of plant they are, the type of dirt and everything. And it's only getting worse. I'm not getting better at it. I'm caring more, but my plants are dying faster. And so if anybody has any great plant tips, they'd like to reach out to me at JB Briscoe on Twitter. My experience has been a flat 5 out of 10. I want to love it, but I'm not very good at it yet.
I'm terrible with plants. I do not
It's
have a green
easier to
thumb.
keep humans alive than plants. Everyone says, "Oh, I can't keep a plant alive. How can I have a baby?" It's easier to keep a baby alive.
How can I have a baby?
Good, great note, but
so many people say that.
Great point. Here's the thing: risk reward, extremely different ratios. Because if you fail to keep a plant alive, shucks. If you fail to keep a person alive,
what word do you?
Whoopsie.
There he is. Goes from shucks to
whoopsie daisy.
Shucks.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsie.
It's an uh-oh at that point.
It's my bad.
Whoa, that's mine over here.
I always hate when we bought some plants for the front porch, and and the lady was like,
porch plants are a whole different thing.
She was like, these are easy maintenance. You can't kill them. 1 week later, they're dead. I clearly can kill them.
Yeah, it's
so
tough.
anyway, Beards.
Yes. So
Why did you sound surprised?
I was getting the camera and everything ready. So for my next one, I'm going to do season 2 of The Flight Attendant. I don't know if you guys saw season 1 or not.
No.
It's a very good show. Kaylee Cuoco, is that how you say her name? Sure. There we go. She's good. She's great in it. It's still got great chaotic energy is what I would call it. 2 seasons is probably about enough for them. I think they said they're wrapping it up after this season, so that's a good call. They've kind of reached the limit of what they can do with the story. It's still very good. It's very entertaining. I loved the side characters that they had in this one, where they kind of gave them more of a spotlight. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
Wow. 8 out of 10 for season 2. All right.
I liked both seasons of Flight Attendant, and Kelly Cuoco's really good.
She's very good.
Absolutely.
I feel like no one can say her name confidently. I think everyone's kind of Cuoco. You kind
Oh,
of
as soon as I say the first syllable, confidence is gone. Kelly.
It becomes like handwriting sort of trailing off like most of my words and sentences. Mick, you got one more for us?
I do.
Mick Schaefer. What would you like to review?
This is my review of an NBA player whose name I can't pronounce. Go. Is it DeJounte Murray? DeJounte Murray?
You got it right the first time.
DeJounte. Mm-hmm. He plays for the Hawks now, and he apparently plays in this stupid idea of a league, a pro-am. What a horrible idea. And when he's playing in it, he shows up these guys by, bashing them on the head with the basketball and then doing a move, and the internet goes bananas over it. Congratulations, DeJounte. The guy's going to go drive UPS trucks tomorrow morning. And you showed him up on the court, NBA player. Get out of here. That's a 1 out of 10 reviewing that.
Shout out to my UPS drivers that also play basketball on the side against DeJounte Murray. Shout out.
Yeah.
I really like
And by the way, it's an offensive foul, bros.
I think the collective. I think you
Call
brought
the
it.
Foul.
I think Mick's reviews have sort of collective 2 out of 20, which is such a good energy to bring. Because what happens to me is that I end up with 15 video games that I want to talk about, but I know people only have 24 seconds of attention span at best. You're bringing things that have made you angry that you're carrying with you.
There have been there have been more positive reviews, I think, in the history of Shot Clock reviews than a negative.
Definitely, but I like this as therapeutic reviewing.
This is
for
more
you.
like the Family Guy. What grinds my gears?
I love it. I think that's great.
Yeah. I'm seeing that energy coming from you.
I love it. Jason, what's your energy going to be?
I am going to review Shot Clock Reviews. Go.
Excellent.
All right, so the first time we've done this, I didn't hear it on Almost Entirely Sports. I like the show, but apparently not enough.
Yeah.
It's a decent concept. It's going to take a while for us to really get this down. I like mixed negative energy.
Me too.
You and Beards have had some practice, so it's like, oh, we know what we're doing. You guys are so dumb, and you treat us like little children. We've never done this. When we thought the reviews was going to be you guys reviewing what our review was, not then we get to review our own review of what we're reviewing anyway, that review doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think I'll get used to it. I'm giving it a 1.
Just joking. It's a review of reviews.
I like an 8.
Reviewing
I'm going to give it an
reviews.
8 on potential. 2
Look,
thumbs up.
I think the format now you got. I think the energy here is going to be fascinating
Here's
to
the
feel
deal.
out.
What about 7 weeks down the road? Am I going to bring this much thought? Because a lot of times now, I'll tell you what, Learn Funniest Best, I think of about 45 seconds before learn funniest
No,
best.
we take a break. We're like, all right, on the other side, learn funniest best.
Oh,
and make
gotta
us,
find the
yeah,
funniest.
I need to learn. Let me search my Twitter. Did anybody tweet me anything that was funny? Let me go check
Anytime
this
we
out.
learn
Ooh.
something at about 1:30 on Monday, you can realize that maybe we didn't have that all figured out over the weekend. Shot clock reviews, I'm overqualified for.
Anytime that there's like, you know what? I know this wasn't from the weekend. It means they just thought of it. They just had to come up with it. It happened today. It wasn't the weekend. It actually happened in the break there. I learned that Todd Lebo was going to a movie tonight. That's what I learned. There's my learned funniest best.
That's also funny. You know what's the best thing I learned all weekend? That's my favorite.
It's my
LFB Todd Lebo.
Funniest, best, and learned. All about that. I think a pretty good debut.
You already gave it an 8. I mean, I feel like put a bow on it. We're great, man.
I gave
Hall of Fame bid.
the concept an 8.
Sure.
The first iteration of said concept would be like a 6.
I 100%
6.5.
agree. 100% agree. A nice 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
For the execution concept is an 8. I'm totally content with that.
And next week we'll try to be 1% less bad.
Or just
than this
1% angrier, perhaps. Because
I got that covered.
I kind of like that.
I kind of do too.
I'll try to become.
Is this bit going to get
little-
angry when it makes the evolution to the zone? It's like a Pokemon. Speaking of, I'd like to give you a 24-second review of the last trailer for Pokemon.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I felt like stuff exploded inside of me.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Wrapping up the show on a Wednesday. Mick Schaefer's brought to you by Kona Big Wave. Take a little break and single task tonight with a Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing Company. You know what? Speaking of which, let's hear Rob Walton, new Broncos owner, as he was being introduced as the newest owner of the Denver Broncos and was going through some of the different people that he wanted to thank. And, of course, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, has to be at the top of the list of people that you would like to say thank you to and acknowledge as you are now the newest owner in the NFL, one of only 32 teams to play in this league with a commissioner that is very, very well known and especially talked about as of the last couple of weeks, too. So here's Rob Walton, who was really informed on the NFL.
I'd like to thank Roger Goodell, Commissioner Goodell.
Twice. Sorry, not Roger Goodell.
Yeah,
Commissioner Goodell.
Commissioner Goodell.
I got the Roger
I messed that
wrong.
up. It's Commissioner Goodell.
She's shaning bricks. Shouldn't say that word. Sorry, shaning rocks. Roger Goodell. I'm sorry, Commissioner Goodell. Sorry, Commish. Yes. I'd like to thank the Clarks. Sorry, just the one Clark. I apologize.
Someone's tweeted me to get plastic. I took a second to figure out what that meant. They meant plastic plants.
Oh.
I don't think that's the same thing.
Children.
Whoa, well, good point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we
They'll
have
last longer.
you have a list of squirrel responses.
It's honestly going to take more than a minute.
So it couldn't be a shot clock review?
Probably not.
You can just tell me off the air then.
I think I'm gonna just save it. I'm gonna holster it. You can live with your squirrels until you make time for that segment. I mean, we can have Renee call in if you want. Really take over the show. 2v1 at that point.
We're gonna lock Seren out of this studio,
Probably
and
not
we'll be on
today.
at like
That'll go well.
203.
We're working
We'll be
on
the air.
Jason's squirrel problem. Renee has some expertise. We
You have
have some
squirrel problem?
ideas.
I mean, I've tried a lot of different things to get these. There's a couple squirrels that keep wanting to eat the tomatoes and my apples.
Oh, I got it. Don't plant tomatoes or apples.
Well, there's an apple tree. I
Go,
don't want to take it
go
out.
to the store and get them. Problem solved.
I mean, that
I will.
seems
Spoiler
like
alert.
it's easy to do.
One of Renee's ideas was stop leaving food outside. Nick makes a great point.
Squirrels are being squirrels, okay?
I know.
You need to be a Jason.
I just want them to be less alive squirrels. They're just rats with long tails.
Oh no.
Those will be the only squirrels, I'm sure.
Hi guys, it's